The night before the college entrance exam in my previous life, my stepsister deliberately set my alarm clock back by 1 hour, causing me to miss the start of the Chinese exam. My parents, however, claimed she hadn't done it on purpose and forced me to stop damaging her reputation. After failing the exam, I was sent to work in a factory while she used the family's money to go abroad. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the night she sneaked into my room. I turned on the surveillance camera, locked the door from the inside, and this time I was determined to make her pay. The first sound of the door lock made me think I was still in the factory. The machines roared, conveyor gel spun rapidly, and the smell of rubber mixed with sweat. My fingers were crushed into a mold, pain blurring my vision. Someone nearby shouted, "Lin Zhao, what are you staring at? Do you want to keep working?" I snapped my eyes open. No machines, no molds, no iron-walled factory suffocating me. I was lying in my small room from my senior year of high school, the wall covered with a countdown calendar. A date circled in red, June 7th, the day of the college entrance exam. I stared at the calendar. My heart clutched tightly. Then the door lock clicked again, softly, as if someone was afraid of waking me. Slowly turning the doorknob, memories from my past life crashed into my mind. The night before the exam, I slept deeply. When I woke up the next day, bright daylight streamed through the window. The alarm clock showed 6:20. I thought I still had time, but by the time I rushed to the exam site, the Chinese exam had already started 15 minutes ago. The invigilator wouldn't let me in. I cried so hard I could barely stand, and I called my dad. His first words weren't asking where I was or what happened. He said, "How could you be so careless? How could you sleep through something this important?" Later, I found out it wasn't that I overslept. It was Lin Nianwei who had entered my room the night before, setting my alarm back by a full hour, and unplugging my phone charger. When caught, she cried bitterly, claiming she had only wanted to check my alarm and accidentally pressed the wrong button. My father, with a stern face, told me not to make a scene. Stepmother's son may held my hand, repeating over and over that my sister didn't mean it. They said, since the college entrance exam was already ruined, making a scene wouldn't change anything. Lin Yanwei was still young. She shouldn't bear the reputation of harming her sister. Because of this, what did I do then? I cried. I begged. I broke down. But in the end, they forced me to swallow it all. That year, I only had a few exam scores left, and the results were dismal. Retake the exams. Son Mei said there was no money at home. My dad said, "Your sister also needs to go to school. The family can't revolve around you alone." They sent me to an electronics factory introduced by a relative, telling me to work and save money for a year first. But I never made it back to the exam hall. The education fund my mother left for me was transferred by my dad to pay Lin Nianwei's study abroad deposit. On the day Lin Nianwei dragged 2 large suitcases to the airport, she wore my mother's favorite white cashmere coat and smiled at me. Actually, people's fates are different. Even if you get into college, you might not have a chance to go out. Later, I had an accident at the factory and injured my right hand, but I couldn't afford rehabilitation. My dad came to see me, bringing only a bag of apples. He said, "Don't blame Nianwei. She's under a lot of pressure abroad now." That day, looking at the ceiling of the hospital room, I finally understood. Some people's favoritism isn't a momentary lapse of judgment. It's a decision they made from the very beginning about who deserves love and who must sacrifice. The door creaked open a crack. I turned my head slowly. In the darkness, Lin Nianwei walked in barefoot, wearing a pink nightgown. Her long hair draped over her shoulders. Her movements were light. Even her breath was held. She thought I was asleep. I didn't move. My phone lay beside the pillow. In my senior year of high school, I had installed a small camera on the bookshelf to record explanations for wrong test questions. Linked to a phone app. In my past life, I never imagined what this thing might capture. Now, I unlocked my phone with my fingerprint. The screen light dimmed to its lowest. In the surveillance footage, Lin Yanwei walked to my desk, where a mechanical alarm clock, an admission ticket bag, a transparent stationery pouch, and my ID card, checked 3 times over, were placed. She glanced at me first. I kept my eyes closed. Breathing calmly, she reached out, picked up the alarm clock, and slowly turned the button on the back. 6 o'clock, 6:30. 7 o'clock. She stopped the alarm hand precisely at 7 o'clock. My fingers tightened gradually. Not by accident. Not by mistake. She knew exactly what she was doing. She put the alarm clock down, then bent over to the socket, unplugging my phone charger. Then she reached for my admission ticket bag. The moment her fingertips touched the bag, I pressed record, turned on the bedside lamp, and the light flickered on. Lin Yanwei froze completely. She whirled around, her face losing color bit by bit. I sat up and looked at her. "Take it," I said softly. "Why aren't you taking it?" Her lips trembled. "Sister, you weren't asleep." I threw off the blanket and got out of bed, barefoot on the floor. She instinctively retreated toward the door. I moved faster than her, closed the door, and locked it. Click! The night fell into an eerie silence. Lin Yanwei's pupils widened sharply. "Why did you lock the door?" I picked up my phone, pointing the surveillance footage at her. "What do you think?" She lunged forward immediately to grab the phone. I stepped back, holding the phone high, while the other hand pressed record. "Don't grab it." I stared at her. "You adjusted the alarm clock, unplugged the charger, and went through the admission ticket. Everything was recorded." Her expression shifted from panic to forced calm. I didn't do anything." She squeaked. "I just wanted to check if you'd forgotten anything for tomorrow's exam." I pointed at the alarm clock on the desk. "Then explain this. Why is the alarm now set to 7 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock? Her eyes instantly turned red. That was her skill. Just a moment ago, she was harming someone, and the next she could cry like the victim. "Sister, are you under too much pressure?" "I really just touched it. I didn't know it would change." I smiled. The last time I was fooled by her tears for far too long. I immediately dialed the phone number of our homeroom teacher. "Ms. Zhao." Lin Yanwei's face turned pale. "What are you doing?" The phone rang 3 times before connecting. Ms. Zhao's voice was hoarse, as if she had just woken up. "Lin Zhao. What's wrong so late at night?" I looked at Lin Yanwei and said slowly, "Teacher, my sister just came into my room. She changed the alarm clock I use for tomorrow's college entrance exam from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., unplugged my phone charger, and even went through my admission ticket bag. I have surveillance footage. I'm worried I won't be able to take the exam normally tomorrow. So I'd like you to witness this for me." Ms. Zhao instantly became alert. "Don't get excited. Are your documents still there? Is she in your room? Is the door locked?" "Yes, it's locked." "Good. Don't have any physical confrontation with her. Save the video and send me a copy immediately. I'll contact the grade director right now and also confirm your situation with the exam staff." "Where are your parents?" Before I could answer, my father's voice sounded outside the door. "Lin Zhao, why are you locking the door in the middle of the night?" Sun Mei's voice followed. Nianwei, are you in there?" Lin Nianwei, seeing a lifeline, immediately cried out, "Mom, my sister locked me in the room. She scared me to death." The door was pounded on loudly. I said to the person on the other end of the phone, "Teacher, my dad and stepmother are here." I turned on the speaker. Ms. Zhao said firmly, "Turn it on." I pressed the speaker button and walked to the door, but didn't open it right away. "Dad, Aunt Sunday," I said. Lin Yanwei came into my room in the middle of the night and tampered with my alarm clock. "I've already recorded it." Teacher Zhao was on the phone, and outside the door, there was a brief silence. Then my father's voice lowered. "What nonsense are you talking? Open the door first." Sun Mei immediately burst into tears. Xiao, your sister is just worried about you. What ill intentions could she possibly have? Don't scare her." Hearing these words, a chill ran through my stomach, exactly the same, just like in my past life. What ill intentions could she possibly have? She just slowed down my alarm clock, just made me miss the college entrance exam, just took the money my mom left me, just stood on my ruined life, and flew abroad. What bad intentions could she possibly have? I opened the door, and my dad, Lin Jianhua, was standing outside in his pajamas, his face ashen. As soon as Sun Mei saw Lin Yanwei, she rushed in and hugged her tightly. "Yanwei, you must be terrified. It's okay. Mom's here." Lin Yanwei sobbed uncontrollably, her shoulders shaking. Mom, I just wanted to help my sister. Check her things. She suddenly turned on the light and locked the door. I thought she was going to hit me. My dad immediately looked at me. Lin Zhao, what are you causing trouble for the day before your college entrance exams? I handed him my phone screen. Read this first before you say anything. The video played, showing Lin Yanwei entering the room to set the alarm, unplugged the charging cable, and flipped through the exam admission ticket bag. Everything crystal clear. Sunmei's crying. Paused for a moment, and my dad's face froze, too, but only for a second. He quickly frowned and said, "You installed a surveillance camera in your own room. Who are you guarding against? We're a family living together. What's the point of doing this?" I nearly laughed out loud. The evidence was right in front of them. But their first reaction wasn't to ask Lin Nianwei why she harmed me. Instead, they questioned why I had the evidence. Teacher Zhao spoke coldly over the phone. "Mr. Lin, the focus now isn't the surveillance footage. The issue is that tomorrow is the college entrance exam, and Lin Zhao's exam materials have been tampered with." My father's face darkened. "Teacher Zhao, this is a private family matter. The college entrance exam is not a private matter." Teacher Zhao replied, "Any behavior that disrupts a student's ability to take the exam must be taken seriously." Sunmei immediately interjected, "Teacher, Nianwei didn't mean it. She's just a child, immature, and too nervous. Isedahe, she was the same age as me." Sunmei choked on her words. Lin Nianwei cried and said, "Cease. I really didn't mean to. I just saw how stressed you've been lately and wanted to help." I picked up the alarm clock and asked, "Help me change it from 6 to 7 o'clock." She cried even harder. I misread it, unplugging the charger. I was worried leaving it plugged in too long might be unsafe. Flipping through the exam admission ticket, I wanted to check if you missed anything. I nodded. "All right, then let the police and teachers hear it. See if they believe you." I started dialing 110. Sunmei screamed, "Lin Zhao, are you crazy? Your sister still has to face people tomorrow." My dad grabbed my wrist forcefully. "Enough," he roared. "Are you still taking the exam tomorrow? Calling the police in the middle of the night? Do you want the whole neighborhood to know?" His grip was so strong it hurt my wrist. In my past life, it was always like this. Every time I tried to speak the truth, he used his authority as a father to suppress me. I looked up at him and said, "Let go." He froze. I spoke word by word. "If you don't let go now, I'll call the police on you." Two. My father's eyes flashed with disbelief. Perhaps in his memory, I had always been the obedient daughter. After Mom passed away, he said life was tough for the family, and I needed to be sensible. After Sunmei entered our home, he said, as the older sister, I should yield to my younger sister. So I let Lin Yanwei take my notes, wear my clothes, and snatch my competition materials. He said families shouldn't keep score, so I didn't. But they didn't know the Lin Zhao who could endure died in that factory building the year she turned 20. The person standing here now crawled back from the filth. My father slowly loosened his grip, and I redialed the number. This time, I answered the phone calmly. "Hello. I'm a candidate taking the college entrance exam tomorrow. Someone entered my room tonight, adjusted my alarm clock, unplugged my phone charger, and went through my admission ticket. I have surveillance footage. Now, the family is asking me to delete the video. I'm worried about my safety during tomorrow's exam, and would like to file a police report." Sunmei's legs went weak, and she nearly collapsed to the ground. Lin Yanwei stopped crying. Her face as pale as paper. My father suppressed his anger. "Lin Zhao, do you have to ruin this family?" I looked at him. It wasn't me who ruined the family. It was the moment she entered my room in the middle of the night. 15 minutes later, the police arrived along with our neighbor. And he, who was wearing a coat, she peeked in the doorway. "Oh my, what's going on?" I just heard someone knocking and talking about the college entrance exam alarm. Sunmei immediately tried to close the door, but I blocked it with my hand. And he, "You're just in time. Please listen." 2. Sunmei glared at me fiercely. "Lin Zhao." I didn't pay attention to her. After watching the video, the police officer's expression also turned serious. The college entrance exam is tomorrow. I nodded and checked my documents. In front of everyone, I opened the exam admission ticket folder. The ticket was there, and so was my ID card, but I soon noticed a small scratch on the side of the bag. I emptied everything inside and realized one item was missing: a photocopy of my ID card, an extra document the school had required us to prepare. I looked up at Lin Yanwei, who immediately screamed. I didn't take it. I really didn't. I crouched down and checked under the desk where she had just been standing. Nothing. Nothing by the bed. Nothing by the door, either. Teacher Zhao's call was still connected. He heard the commotion and immediately said, Lin Zhao, take photos of all your documents and send them to me. I'll be waiting for you at the entrance of the exam site tomorrow morning. I said, okay. The police officer took a record, reminding me to keep the video and not delete it privately, and also advised me to hand over important documents to a teacher or a trustworthy adult during the college entrance exam. Sun Mei was still crying. Officer, there's no need to record such a minor misunderstanding between children. They're sisters. The police officer glanced at her. The college entrance exam is tomorrow. This isn't just a minor misunderstanding. Those words felt like a slap across Sun Mei's face. Lin Yanwei finally stopped crying. She lowered her head, glaring at the floor with a venomous look. I knew she hated me, but she didn't know I had waited for this day for too long. After the police left, my dad closed the door, his face dark and terrifying. Lin Zhao, are you satisfied now? I reset the alarm clock back to 6 o'clock, charged my phone, and put my admission ticket and ID card into a transparent bag. Not yet. He paused, and I looked up. I'll be satisfied only when I walk into the exam room on time tomorrow. Lin Yanwei finally couldn't hold back and cried out, Sister, how could you do this to me? I already said it wasn't intentional. I looked at her and said, Lin Yanwei, remember this. I backed up the video from my phone to the cloud and sent a copy to Teacher Zhao. Not all tears can wash away evidence. That night, I didn't sleep in that room again. I sat at my desk checking my exam supplies over and over. At 2 a.m. Teacher Zhao sent a message. ID photo received. I'll wait for you at the neighborhood gate at 6:20 a.m. tomorrow. I stared at those words, my eyes stinging. In my past life, I thought I had no one to rely on. But it wasn't that no one could help me. It was that I learned too late to ask for help. Just before dawn, I heard faint footsteps outside the door. I checked the monitor. Lin Yanwei stood at the entrance clutching something in her hand. She didn't come in. She just slipped a crumbled copy of her ID card under the door. Then, in a barely audible voice, she said through the crack, Lin Zhao, don't get too smug, even if you make it into the exam room. Mom and Dad won't be on your side. I picked up the copy, smoothed it out slowly. She was right. The asterisk wouldn't stand by me. But in this life, I didn't need them to stand by me. At 5:40 a.m., I washed my face, tied my hair, and laid out my admission ticket, ID card, Seishinebake, and spare pens one by one on the table. Taking photos. In my past life, I was still asleep at this time. My alarm clock set to a slower time, quietly lying on the desk like a conspiring eye. By the time I woke up, fate had already stolen an hour from me. This time, I watched the real time, hearing the phone alarm ring precisely at 6 o'clock. The sound was ordinary, yet it felt like a belated judgment. Outside, in the living room, hushed arguing could be heard. Sun Mei had cried all night, her voice hoarse. Yanzua, you can't let Zhao Zhao hand over the video to the school. What about Yanwei's future? If her file gets stained, her whole life will be ruined. My father's voice was impatient. Then go talk to her yourself. She listens to you the most. I opened the door. The living room fell silent instantly. Lin Yanwei sat on the sofa, her eyes swollen like walnuts. When she saw me, she instinctively shrank behind Sun Mei. Sun Mei immediately stood up, forcing a gentle smile. Xiao Xiao, you're up. Auntie made you some eggs. I glanced at the table. 2 eggs, a glass of milk. On the day of the college entrance exam in my past life, after I missed the test and returned home, the table had the same 2 eggs. Now cold, Sun Mei handed them to me, saying, Eat a little. Don't ruin your body crying. Life isn't just about the college entrance exam. I cried so hard I couldn't hold my chopsticks. Lin Yanwei sat beside me and whispered, "Sister, I am sorry." But there was not a trace of remorse in her eyes, only an unmistakable sense of relief. I turned my gaze away. I don't need anything from this house. Sun Mei's face stiffened. Xiao, what do you mean by that? Exactly what I said. I placed my stationery pouch into a transparent file folder, then slipped my phone into the inner pocket of my coat. My father finally spoke up. Lin Xiao, let's put last night's incident behind us. I looked up at him. He was sitting on the sofa, trying to act like the head of the household. You've already called the police and disturbed the teachers. Yanwei cried all night. Today is your college entrance exam. Don't let this distract you. Delete the video. I'll have her apologize to you later. Can't delete it, I said. He frowned. What do you mean? You can't delete it. It's backed up. Lin Yanwei's face turned pale instantly. Sun Mei's voice trembled. Backed up where? I looked at her. Guess. My father slammed the table and stood up. Lin Xiao, are you really going to ruin your sister? I smiled faintly. Dad, that line sounds so familiar. He froze. I said, last night when she tampered with my alarm clock. You didn't ask if she was trying to ruin me. Now that I've kept evidence, you're asking me if I'm trying to ruin her. The living room fell into deathly silence. Sun Mei's tears fell again. Xiao, how can you say such things about your father? He's caught between you two sisters. This is hard for him. He's not hard. I zipped up my backpack. He just chose the one who's easier to bully. My father's face turned livid. He stepped forward, reaching for my phone. Give me your phone. You can't bring it into the exam. Leave it at home. I took a step back. I'll hand it over to teacher Zhao outside the testing site. I'm your father. Last night, the police officer also suggested I hand over important items to a trustworthy adult. The 5 words, trustworthy adult, pierced my father's face like needles. He raised his hand as if to hit me, but I didn't dodge, just looked up at him. Go ahead, hit me. There's surveillance at the entrance, neighbors in the hallway, and teacher Zhao arrives at the community gate at 6:20. If you hit me now, I'll walk into the exam hall with injuries. His hand froze midair. Sun Mei quickly stepped in. Jianhua, don't be impulsive. Lin Yanwei suddenly burst into tears and threw herself in front of me. Sister, I'm begging you. Please don't give the video to the school. Okay. I really didn't mean it. I was just too nervous last night. I was afraid you'd do poorly tomorrow, so I wanted to help you check. I looked down at her hand clutching my sleeve. Last life, she had held me just like this. She said, Sister, don't call the police. I am scared. She said, Sister, if I get punished for this, I'm done for. She said, Sister, you're good at studies. Even if you don't do well this time, you'll still have a future. I'm different. I can't withstand even a little storm. So, everyone told me to give in to her. To give in, and give in, until I eye up my own life. I pulled my sleeve out of her hand. Lin Yanwei, stop pretending. Her crying stopped abruptly. I leaned closer, speaking in a voice only the two of us could hear. Your hand was very steady when you set the alarm clock. Her pupils contracted. I straightened up and walked toward the door. Sun Mei followed. Xiao, where are you going? Your dad will take you. No need. I opened the door. Auntie He was standing in the hallway holding a trash bag. Seeing me, she immediately asked, Xiao, going to take the exam? I nodded. Good morning, Auntie He. She glanced at the faces of the people inside, said nothing more, and only said, do well on your exam. I heard about what happened last night. Don't be afraid. Auntie can vouch for you. Sun Mei's face turned dark instantly. I sincerely said, thank you. As soon as I stepped out of the building, the sky was just beginning to light up. A white car was parked at the entrance of the neighborhood. Teacher Zhao stood beside the car, dressed in a simple shirt, holding a bag of breakfast in his hand. When he saw me, he quickly walked over. Did you bring your documents? Yes. Here they are. I handed him the transparent file folder, and he meticulously checked each item before finally letting out a sigh of relief. Get in the car. I got into the car, and only then noticed a spare set of stationery on the back seat. Teacher Zhao glanced at me through the rearview mirror. "Have you had breakfast?" "No." He handed me breakfast. Soy milk and steamed buns. "Eat on the way. Don't take the exam on an empty stomach." I took it, my fingers slightly stiff. "Thank you." Teacher Zhao was silent for 2 seconds before saying, "Lin Zhao, you did the right thing last night. In such situations, preserving evidence immediately, seeking help from teachers, and filing a police report, none of that is shameful." My throat tightened. In my past life, the phrase I heard most was, "Family scandals shouldn't be aired in public." No one ever told me protecting myself wasn't shameful. The car pulled up near the exam site, and the roadside was already packed with students and parents. Some were adjusting their children's collars, others handing them water, and a few holding up phones to take photos. Seeing those nervous yet tender faces, my heart suddenly ached. Not out of envy, but from finally admitting that I, too, had once longed for someone to tell me on this day, "Don't be afraid." Teacher Zhou parked the car and handed me his phone. I turned it off and gave it back to him. He tucked it into his bag and pulled out a sheet of paper. "This is a printout of the ID photo you sent me last night. Might not be needed, but I brought it just in case." I froze. He added, "Once you're inside, don't overthink anything. Chinese is your first exam, and it's always been your strongest subject. Well, in this life, at least." My heart skipped a beat. Teacher Zhou didn't know about my past life. He only knew I was good at Chinese. Gripping my pencil case, I nodded. "I'll do well." Just as I was about to walk toward the exam center gate, my dad's voice called out from behind me, "Lin Zhao." I turned around to see him, Sun Mei, and Lin Yanwei chasing after me. Lin Yanwei's eyes were even redder, and Sun Mei was supporting her as if holding a poor little thing I had bullied terribly. My dad quickly stepped in front of me and lowered his voice. Teacher Zhou blocked his way beside me. "Mr. Lin, the exam is about to start. Whatever you have to say it after the test." My dad suppressed his anger. "Teacher Zhou, this is a family matter." Teacher Zhou didn't back down. "This is exam time now." People around us were already staring. Sun Mei immediately changed her tone. Her eyes red as she said, Zhao, Auntie isn't here to cause trouble. I just wanted to tell you don't take your anger into the exam. Yanwei really didn't mean it yesterday. She didn't sleep all night and insisted on coming to see you off." I looked at Lin Yanwei. She bit her lip and whispered, "Sis, I'm sorry. Can you please stop being mad at me? I'm afraid it'll affect your exam." Of course, she'd say that, 1 second harming me, the next pushing the responsibility of affecting my exam back onto me. As if not forgiving her would mean I was ruining myself. I didn't respond to her. Instead, I took my exam admission ticket from the transparent bag and held it up in front of my dad. "I'm only doing one thing today." My dad frowned. "What?" Entering the exam hall, I turned and walked away. My dad instinctively reached out to grab me, but Teacher Zhao's voice turned stern. "Mr. Lin." I stopped but didn't turn around. "Dad," I said, the first time I'd called him that since my rebirth, "if you try to pull me back at the exam center gate, I'll immediately report to security that someone tried to sabotage my college entrance exam last night. And today my family is still trying to stop me from entering." His hand froze midair. The stares from other parents nearby grew more obvious. Someone murmured, "Sabotage the exam." "Really? So?" My panicked. Zhao, don't say such nonsense." I turned to face her. "Am I lying? Should I play the video right now?" Lin Yinwei finally burst into tears. "Sis, why do you have to be like this?" I replied calmly, "Because I don't want to miss it again." The bell for the Chinese exam rang, and students began entering. I didn't look back at them. Security check. Verification. Entering the building. Climbing the stairs. Each step felt like treading on the ruins of that stolen hour from my past life. When I walked into the exam room, I saw my seat, 3rd row by the window. The desk clean. The answer sheet neatly placed. The invigilator reminded everyone to check their stationery. I sat down, my palms slightly sweaty, not from fear, but from being too awake. At exactly 9 o'clock, the exam papers were handed out. I flipped to the first page and saw the essay prompt. This scene had appeared in my dreams countless times. In those dreams, I was always barred from entering the exam site, always hearing the sound of the iron gate closing, always watching others walk into a life I could never re-enter. Now, the exam paper was in my hands. I lowered my head and carefully wrote Lin Zhao in the name field. After writing those two characters, I suddenly smiled. Lin Yanwei, that hour you stole from me, I've taken it back. Throughout the entire Chinese language exam, I wrote more steadily than in any mock test before. Reading comprehension, classical Chinese, the essay. Every stroke I put down felt like a reply to my past self telling her, "Don't be afraid, this time we made it in." When the exam ending bell rang, I put down my pen feeling as though a stone that had weighed on me for years had finally cracked open a fissure. As I walked out of the exam hall, the sunlight was blinding. Teacher Zhao stood waiting for me at the exit. He didn't ask how the exam went, just handed me a bottle of water and said, "You've worked hard." I took the water and was about to speak when I saw Lin Yanwei standing under a tree not far away. She wasn't crying, nor was she pretending to be pitiful. She just stared at me with pure resentment in her eyes. I knew she wouldn't let this go. Sure enough, before the afternoon math exam began, my backup pencil case went missing. It disappeared while I was resting in Teacher Zhao's office after the morning Chinese exam. Teacher Zhao, worried about me going home, had me stay in the school office until the afternoon assembly. My main stationery pouch had been by my side the whole time, while the backup pencil case had been shoved into the side pocket of my backpack by Sun Mei before I left home that morning. She'd said at the time, Zhao, Auntie knows you're angry, but the exam is what matters. Take this backup, just in case your pen breaks. Don't blame the family for not preparing." I hadn't used her things, but I never expected they'd even use a backup pencil case to play their games after lunch. I checked my belongings and found the side pocket empty. Teacher Zhao immediately frowned. "When was it last there?" "Before I came into the office," I said, but I didn't touch it. There were several teachers in the office, and the hallway had surveillance cameras. Teacher Zhao asked, "What was inside?" I shook my head. "I never opened it. Andy's son stuffed it in there this morning." His expression changed. "Don't panic. Your main stationery is still here, so the afternoon exam won't be affected. We'll look into it after the exam." I nodded. During these 2 days of the college entrance exam, the most important thing was getting into the exam hall. No unexpected incident could dictate my emotions. In the afternoon, I entered the math exam hall as usual. In my past life, I had missed the Chinese exam, and for the remaining subjects, I wrote through tears, my mind filled with thoughts of "it's over. It's useless. My life is ruined." This time, as the pen touched the exam paper, my heart grew calmer instead. After finishing the exam and leaving the hall, I saw Lin Yanwei at the stairwell. She was also a candidate, but not at the same test center as me, so logically, she shouldn't have appeared here so quickly. Standing beside her was Sun Mei, who burst into tears the moment she saw me. Zhao, how could you do this?" I stopped in my tracks. "What did I do?" Sun Mei pulled out the missing spare pencil case from her bag. The box opened, revealing not only pens, but also a small folded note. Several parents of the examinees immediately turned to look. Sun Mei's voice trembled. "This fell out of your backpack. Your sister found it and was terrified. Zhao, even if you're under a lot of pressure, you can't think about cheating." I looked at the note and suddenly felt like laughing. In my previous life, they had made me miss the Chinese exam. This time, unable to stop me from entering the exam hall, they changed tactics, trying to frame me for cheating during the college entrance exam. Lin Yanwei's eyes were red with tears. "Sister, I really didn't mean to harm you. I was just so scared after finding it that I told Mom. Please don't blame me." Several parents had already started whispering among themselves. Cheating on the college entrance exam is serious. This girl looks so quiet. Teacher Zhao walked over from behind the crowd, his voice icy. "Who said this is Lin Zhao's?" Sun Mei seemed prepared. "This is the spare pencil case I prepared for Zhao this morning. It fell out of her backpack. Yanwei saw it with her own eyes." I asked, "Fell out of my backpack?" Lin Yanwei bit her lip. When? At noon when you were resting in the school office. I went to bring you water and saw it lying at the door. I nodded. Have you seen Teacher Zhao's office door? Her face stiffened. Teacher Zhao immediately said, There's surveillance in the corridor outside the office at noon. Lin Yanwei is not a staff member of this school, nor is she a candidate at this examination site. Why would she enter the teaching building? Lin Yanwei panicked. I didn't go in. I just found it downstairs. You said the entrance just now. You reminded her. Tears suddenly streamed down her face. Sister, why are you fixating on words? I was just afraid you'd take the wrong path. I looked at her. Were you afraid I'd take the wrong path, or afraid I was going too smoothly? Sun Mei grew angry. Lin Zhao, your sister is covering for you, and you're still biting her. Teacher Zhao directly took out her phone. Since this involves a charge of cheating in the college entrance exam, let's not argue at the door. Let's go to the examination office to check the surveillance and notify the site supervisor. Sun Mei's face instantly changed. No need to make such a fuss. We're just talking at home. Cheating in the college entrance exam isn't something you can just talk about at home. Teacher Zhou interrupted her. Miss Sunday, it was you who publicly suggested Lin Zhao might have cheated just now. More onlookers gathered. I still didn't explain. I knew all too well in the face of such a setup, the more desperately you defend yourself, the more guilty you appear. The evidence would speak for itself. We were taken to a temporary exam office, where the person in charge listened to the situation and looked very serious. Teacher Zhou briefly explained the video from last night, the police report, and the incident this morning when my parents had pulled me at the exam site. Sun Mei grew increasingly flustered as she listened. Teacher, we didn't mean anything by it. We were just worried the child might make a mistake. The person in charge asked me, Is this pencil case yours? I replied, I didn't prepare it. Miss Sun shoved it into my hands at my doorstep this morning. I didn't open it or use it. I noticed it was missing at noon, and already informed Teacher Zhou. Teacher Zhou nodded, confirming my statement. The person in charge then asked Sun Mei, You said you prepared it? Sun Mei stiffened and said, Yes. I was just trying to be helpful by getting it ready for her. Did you know there was a note inside? I didn't know. She answered too quickly. I looked at the person in charge and asked, May I see the content of the note? The note was unfolded, densely covered with formulas, and handwriting that looked very much like mine, at least at first glance. Lin Yinwei lowered her head, her fingers twisting together. After glancing at it, I suddenly asked, Who copied this? The person in charge looked at me. Why do you ask? I pointed to the third line. This formula is written wrong here. And this symbol? It's from our school's old sophomore textbook. It hasn't been used like this for a long time. I wouldn't write it this way in my math notes. Teacher Zhou took the note and glanced at it, her expression turning subtle. Indeed, these are mistakes Lin Zhao is unlikely to make. I continued, I can write something on the spot to compare my handwriting. But more importantly, we should check the surveillance footage. The person in charge immediately instructed staff to retrieve the hallway footage, and the images soon appeared. At 12:47 p.m., Lin Wanwei entered through the side door of the teaching building wearing a hat. She kept her head down to avoid the crowd and walked to the office door. She slipped a pencil case into the side pocket of my backpack, and 10 minutes later, she came back to take it. The so-called falling out of my backpack never happened. The examination office was dead silent. Sun Mei's face turned pale, and Lin Wanwei's lips trembled as she said, I was just afraid my sister might actually use it. I wanted to help her take it away. The supervisor's voice turned cold. This student, you are not a candidate at this examination center. Yet you entered the teaching area without permission and carried suspected cheating materials to interact with the candidate's belongings. This incident will be recorded and reported to your school. Lin Wanwei's legs gave way. No! Sun Mei shrieked. She's just a child. She was only worried about her sister. I looked at her and suddenly felt it was absurd. Worried about me, so she tampered with my alarm clock. Worried about me, so she unplugged my charger. Worried about me, so she slipped cheating notes into my bag. The most venomous knives in the world can always be wrapped in a layer of for your own good sugarcoating. Lin Wanwei turned to me in tears. Cease. Say something for me. I really didn't mean to hurt you. I was just too nervous. I asked her, "What are you nervous about?" She froze, standing in front of her. I spoke softly but loud enough for everyone to hear. The one taking the exam tomorrow is me. The one whose alarm clock was tampered with yesterday is me. The one who had notes slipped into her bag today is me. Lin Wanwei. Who exactly are you nervous for? She couldn't answer. Sunmei lunged at me screaming. Lin Zhao, are you trying to drive your sister to her death? Teacher Zhao blocked her. The supervisor immediately called security. Sunmei was restrained but kept crying and cursing. What's wrong with you teachers? Making a big deal out of a trivial matter between sisters. The supervisor said coldly, "This is a national college entrance examination center. Not your living room." Those words struck me hard. Yes, this wasn't their living room. They could no longer force my head down and make me admit to things I hadn't done. The exam supervisor made a record and also contacted Lin Yanwei's school. Since it didn't truly affect my exam, and no actual cheating consequences occurred, the situation wasn't escalated to the point of revoking her exam eligibility. However, her unauthorized entry into the testing site, contact with examinees' belongings, and possession of suspected materials would be dealt with seriously by the school. As Sunmei helped Lin Yanwei leave, her gaze at me was like poison venom. I knew she hated me, but this was clearly her daughter's doing. People are like this. She handed me the knife. I bled, but as long as I refused to endure, they would think I was cruel. That night, I didn't go home. Teacher Zhao helped me contact a teacher on duty dormitory near the school, letting me stay there temporarily. My father called me over a dozen times, but I didn't answer any. Finally, he sent a WeChat message. Lin Zhao, is this what you wanted? Is this what you're satisfied with? Yanwei almost broke down today. As her sister, you have no compassion at all. I stared at the screen and replied with 4 words. Save evidence. Then I took a screenshot and backed it up. Within minutes, Lin Yanwei also sent a message. Sister, I know you hate me, but you can't do this. Mom and Dad won't forgive you. I replied, before you set the alarm. Did you ever think about whether I would forgive you? She didn't reply again. The next day, after the final exam ended, I walked out of the testing site. The sky was so blue as if washed clean. Teacher Zhao stood at the school gate and asked me what I wanted to do after the exam. I thought for a moment and said, "First, go home to get some things." He frowned. "Alone?" I shook my head. "No, I'd like you to accompany me back. Not because I'm afraid, but because I've learned that in important situations, I need a witness." When I returned to the neighborhood, several relatives stood in the hallway. My second aunt, third uncle, Sunmei's cousin, and a few others whose names I couldn't recall. As soon as the door opened, the living room was filled with people. My father sat in the main seat, his face dark and gloomy. Sunmei's eyes were red and swollen. Lin Yanwei leaned against her, looking as if she had suffered a great injustice. As soon as my second aunt saw me, she sighed. "Zhao Zhao, the college entrance exam is over now. Can we finally talk properly?" I stood at the doorway without entering. "Talk about what?" My third uncle frowned. "What else can we talk about? You've caused such a scene for your sister. You owe the family an explanation." I smiled. I was the one whose alarm was tampered with, who was given cheating notes. Now, it's me who needs to explain. My second aunt's expression darkened. "Didn't it not affect your exam? Why are you so vengeful?" "Child." I looked at my father. He didn't say anything. I knew these relatives were summoned by him. In the previous life, it was exactly the same. They were best at turning an injury into a trial. Everyone gathered in the living room, each taking turns to pressure me into submission. Back then, I was too young, believing relatives were elders, and that elders always made sense. Now, I just find it noisy. I pulled out a piece of paper from my bag, since everyone was here. It was the perfect time. My father eyed me warily. "What's this?" "A written statement." I placed the paper on the coffee table. First, Lin Yanwei entered my room the night before the college entrance exam, tampered with the alarm clock, unplugged the charger, and rummaged through the exam admission bag. Video evidence exists. Second, during the exam period, She entered the exam building without permission, accessed my backpack, and removed suspected cheating materials. Surveillance footage from the exam site proves this. Third, from today onward, my exam results, college applications, admission letters, and identification documents will be under my sole control. No one is allowed to interfere, alter, or withhold them. The living room erupted in uproar. Second aunt widened her eyes. Are you trying to sign an agreement with the family? I replied, not an agreement. A notice. My father finally exploded. Lin Zhao, don't go too far. I looked at him. Dad, worse is yet to come. He froze. I picked up my bag. I'm taking my household registration page, ID copies, academic records, and that old box Mom left behind. Sunmay's face instantly changed. What box? I turned to her. She played it well, but that fleeting panic said everything. The money. I found out about it after I started working at the factory. Once, when I came home to get clothes, I overheard Sun Mei arguing with my father. She said that money was meant for the dead anyway, just sitting there, and Nian Wei needed it more for studying abroad. My father said, but it was meant for Xiao Zhao's college. Sun Mei sneered. What college? With her grades, it's useless even if she graduates. That's when I realized my mother had left me money before she died. But I had no proof, and my father refused to admit it. In this life, I won't let them quietly block the path that the dead left for me. This sentence seems to contain a typo. Based on context, it should be block or something similar, but I'll retain the original meaning and revise it to block. I walked toward the bedroom, and Sun Mei immediately rushed over to stop me. You can't go rummaging through the house like this. I stopped. That's my mother's stuff. Your mother married your father, so her things belong to this family. I looked at her and slowly smiled. Aunt Sunday, you finally stopped pretending. When Sun Mei heard the words Aunt Sunday, her face instantly changed. Ever since she married into the Lin family, my father had insisted I call her Mom. He said, your mother is gone. Aunt Sun has taken care of you for years. Calling her Mom will make this house feel like a real home. I was only 10 at the time, and I thought calling her Mom would earn me some real affection. Later, I realized that no matter how affectionate a title may sound, it can't fill the emotional void caused by bias. Now, standing in the living room in front of all the relatives, I reclaimed the word Mom. Sun Mei's eyes instantly turned red. Xiao Zhao, I've raised you for so many years. This is how you repay me. Aunt Air immediately chimed in. Exactly. Sun Mei has treated you well over the years. You're being so hurtful. Child. I turned to Aunt Air. She raised me. Aunt Air was stunned. I took out my phone from my bag and pulled up a few photos. My meal card recharge records from my 3 years of high school. The money came from my mother's living expenses account, which she had left me before her death. This account had a fixed monthly deposit of 800 yuan, money my grandfather had originally saved for me, while the family bought a piano, a tablet, and an IELTS course for Lin Yanwei. My school uniform had been torn for 2 years, and it was only when teacher Zhao helped me apply for financial aid that I finally got a new one. Sun Mei's face turned pale. You're lying. That aid was something you insisted on applying for, making people think we were abusing you. Teacher Zhao finally spoke from the doorway. Miss Sunday, I recommended Lin Zhao's application for the school uniform. Her winter coat sleeve was worn through, and the cotton stuffing was showing. I asked her, and she said she didn't want to cause trouble for the family. The living room fell silent. My father's face grew uneasy. He muttered, why bring up these trivial matters? Now, trivial matters? I looked at him. The night before my college entrance exam, I almost had my life ruined. Do you call that trivial? My school uniform was torn for 3 years. Do you call that trivial? The money my mother left is gone. Do you plan to call that trivial? 2. Lin Yanwei suddenly shouted, Sister, stop saying the money your mother left. Didn't our parents raise you without cost? You eat at home, live at home. Why do you act like a victim? I looked at her. You're right. Food and shelter cost money. Then let's settle the accounts. I opened my notes app and started listing. From age 10 to 18, my grandfather's account sent 800 yuan monthly. 8 years totaling 76. 800 During my 3 years of high school, I earned about 12,000 yuan annually in scholarships and competition prizes, 36,000 total. Combined school subsidies and fee waivers amounted to 21,000. That means just the money I can verify totals 133,000. I looked up at them. How much have you spent on me? You can list it. I'll accept food, accommodation, and tuition, but Lin Yanwei's IELTS classes, art photos, piano lessons, travel, and designer clothes. Don't include those in my share. Sunmei trembled, her lips quivering from my words. Third uncle frowned. Why are we calculating things so precisely as a family? I asked. Then why is it always me who gets blamed when sacrifices are made? No one spoke. I turned and walked into the bedroom. This time, Sunmei couldn't stop me. My room was small. Next to my desk sat an old wooden chest left by my mother. When I was young, my father said it contained old clothes and photos, and he was afraid I'd be upset seeing them, so he kept it locked. In my previous life, I never opened it until I died. This time, I crouched down, feeling the bottom of the chest. The lock was still there, but the key wasn't with me. I turned to look at my father. The key! His eyes flickered. The key was lost long ago. Sunmei immediately said. Yes, it was lost during the move. I nodded. Then I'll call a locksmith. Sunmei screamed. No. Her reaction was too strong. Everyone turned to look at her. My father also frowned. Sunmei. Sunmei realized she had lost her composure and immediately softened her tone. I mean, let's talk about it tomorrow. Everyone's tired today. Xiao Xiao just finished her exam. Let's not make things harder. I looked at her. I'm not tired. I immediately called the locksmith. 20 minutes later, the man arrived, and Sunmei fidgeted anxiously. Lin Yanwei stared at the box, her expression grim. Suddenly, I understood. Maybe they had known what was inside all along. When the lock clicked open, it sounded like some long-buried truth cracking open. There weren't many clothes in the box. On top was a light blue scarf, beneath which lay a photo album, a few letters, and a brown paper envelope. I picked up the envelope. On the seal was my mother's handwriting. Xiao Xiao. Open after 18. My fingers trembled. 18. I was already 18. I opened the envelope. Inside was a copy of an education fund agreement, a bank deposit certificate, and a letter. The paper slightly yellowed. I didn't read the letter right away. I first looked at the agreement. It clearly stated that 300,000 yuan in Wan Chao's education reserve fund was designated for her daughter Lin Chao to use upon reaching adulthood for higher education, vocational training, and starting an independent life. No other use permitted. Trustee Supervisor, Lin Jianhua. Next to it were my grandfather's and mother's signatures, dated 2 months before my mother's death. I looked up at my father. His face had changed. Dad, I asked, what happened to that money? His Adam's apple moved. We've used part of it over the years. Family expenses were high. Where did you use it? I asked. You need money for your studies and living expenses. I held up the agreement. This money was specifically for my higher education after I turned 18. Did you use it to pay for my college tuition? No, he said. Because I haven't gone to college yet. Sunmei couldn't help but say. Lin Zhao, don't be so aggressive. When your mother died, your father was struggling alone to hold this family together. The money was in the bank and used. Should we just let the family fall apart? I looked at her. And when the family was barely making ends meet, why could your daughter spend over 100,000 yuan a year on an international class? Sunmei fell silent. Lin Yanwei suddenly burst into tears. Sister, do you think I don't deserve to spend money since childhood? You've looked down on me. You're good at studies. Teachers like you. Relatives praise you. You have everything. I just want to learn something. To see the world abroad. What's wrong with that? I looked at her, feeling not the slightest stir in my heart. You want to go abroad? What does that have to do with me? She froze. I said, if you want to learn, you should let your own mother pay for it. If you want to see the world, you should rely on your own grades and abilities. You can't steal my time while spending the money my mother left behind. Then cry and ask me what's wrong. Lin Yanwei's face turned red, and I had torn off her most dignified facade. She wasn't an innocent little sister. She was just someone who wanted to take others' things and complained that they weren't generous enough. I put the agreement, the deposit certificate, and the letter all into a file folder. Sun Mei lunged forward to grab it, but Teacher Zhao stepped in front of her. Miss Sunday, don't touch her. I said to Teacher Zhao. Teacher, I won't stay here tonight. Teacher Zhao nodded. I've already asked about the school's on-duty dormitory. You can stay there until the admission process is over. My father suddenly looked up. How dare you? I looked at him. Why wouldn't I dare? What kind of image does it make for a girl to live outside? It's safer than living next to someone who keeps setting my alarm clock to go off at midnight. He was speechless, his face turning purple. Third, Uncle stepped in to mediate. Zhao Zhao, your father is just trying to do what's best for you. After the college entrance exam, can't you talk about things calmly? Moving out like this will only make the neighbors laugh at you. I picked up my backpack. In my past life, I used to be so afraid of people laughing at me, so I suffered a lot. I almost slipped up and said too much, but I stopped in time. No one noticed. I continued. Now, let anyone who wants to laugh. Laugh. All I know is that if I stay any longer, I might even lose my college application. My father snapped. What kind of person do you take me for? I didn't answer, because in my previous life, the answer had already been clear. He wasn't unaware that Lin Nianwei had harmed me. He just believed that since the damage had already been done, destroying one daughter was enough. No need to ruin another. They were always like this. They never stopped harm before it happened, and after it occurred, they urged the victim to be magnanimous. I packed my things, some clothes, documents, study materials, and my mother's file bag. As I passed through the living room, Lin Nianwei suddenly rushed to block my way. Her eyes were panicked. Cease. You can't leave, she said. I asked why, but she opened her mouth and couldn't speak. Sun Mei spoke for her. If you leave, what will happen to your sister? The school is investigating her. If you're not here to speak up for her, she'll be bullied to death. I almost laughed when she harmed me. You told me not to ruin her reputation. Now that she's being investigated, you want me to come home and protect her? Auntie Sunday, I'm her sister, not her scapegoat. Sun Mei trembled with anger. My dad stood up, his voice low. Lin Zhao, if you walk out that door today, don't ever come back. In my past life, those words had frightened me many times. He always thought I couldn't survive without this family. But he forgot that in my past life, I really did leave, sent away by them. 2. Work in a factory, living in an 8-person dorm, eating 9 yuan box meals, standing for 12 hours a day. Even then, I survived. Now I have my grades, evidence, teachers, and the documents my mother left behind. Why should I be afraid? I pulled open the door, and Auntie was standing there again, holding a bowl of hot noodle soup. She'd clearly been listening for a while. Seeing my backpack, she sighed. Xiao Zhao, eat something before you go. The college entrance exam just ended. Don't go hungry. My nose stung. My dad's face darkened. Sister, this is our family matter. And he glanced at him. Jianhua, something like that happened the night before her exam. And all you can say is family matter. Family matter. The college entrance exam is a lifetime event. It's not something you can sweep under the rug by closing the door. My dad had nothing to say. I took the bowl of noodles, the steam rising, and my eyes suddenly grew wet. Thank you, Auntie, I whispered. She patted my shoulder. Keep moving forward. Don't look back. That night, I stayed in the school's on-duty dormitory. The room was small. Just a bed, a desk, and a lamp, but I slept more soundly than any day in my past life. In the middle of the night, my phone lit up. Lin Yanwei had sent a message. You think you've won just because the exam's over? The college applications aren't filled out yet. I stared at those words and slowly sat up. In my past life, I failed the exam and didn't even have the chance to carefully fill out applications. But later, a coworker at the factory told me how her sister, who had scored well, had her applications silently ruined when her family changed them. In that moment, I suddenly understood Lin Yanwei tampering with my alarm clock was just the first strike. If the first strike didn't kill me, they'd have a second, a third. I took a screenshot, and saved it, then opened my laptop to search for the process to change my college application password in this life. No one would touch my time or my applications ever again. Half a month after the college entrance exam, it was the quietest period since my rebirth. I stayed in the school's on-duty dormitory, helping teacher Zhao organize graduation materials during the day and reviewing the evidence I had at night. The Lin family didn't give up trying to contact me. My father sent messages every day, first with commands. Come home. Have you had enough trouble? A girl living in the school. What will people say? I didn't reply. Then it turned into accusations. Your sister cries every day. Because of you. The school has already talked to her. She can't even eat. Can't you act like an older sister? Still, I didn't respond. Later, he started playing the emotional card. Xiao, Dad knows you're hurt, but your mom passed away early. It hasn't been easy for our family these years. You can't let a misunderstanding destroy this family. I stared at the word misunderstanding, took a screenshot, and saved it. Sun Mei also messaged me. She was smarter than my father. She stopped directly insulting me, and instead sent photos of meals. Xiao, Auntie made your favorite braised pork ribs. Your dad is tough talking, but he actually misses you every day. Yanwei knows she was wrong. Come back, and we'll be a happy family again. I looked at those dishes, and only felt irony. I never liked braised pork ribs since childhood. What I loved was Lin Yanwei, even in trying to win me over. Sun Mei used her daughter's taste. Lin Yanwei stayed quiet for a few days until her school gave her a serious warning. The official reason was written formally. During the college entrance exam, she entered the teaching area of a non-designated test site without authorization, and came into contact with other examinees' belongings, causing a bad influence. There was no public announcement, but it was enough to strip her of her eligibility for the outstanding graduate recommendation. She sent me a long voice message. I didn't open it, but converted it into text. Lin Zhao, are you satisfied now? You have good grades. You have teachers protecting you. You naturally have nothing to fear. But I'm different. I only have my parents. I just made a small mistake. And you're pushing me to the edge. Just wait. You won't always be this lucky. I saved it. In my previous life, I always liked to explain to her. Explaining that I didn't look down on her. Explaining that I was also struggling. Explaining that I didn't have to fight for everything. Only later you did. I understand. Explaining to someone who already wants to take your things is the most useless thing. She won't stop just because you're kind. She'll only hesitate because you have teeth. On the day the scores were released, Teacher Zhao was even more nervous than I was. The school specially opened the computer lab for students to check their results. I sat in front of the computer, entered my admission ticket number and password, and when my fingers pressed down, I felt surprisingly calm. The page loaded. Total score 684. Chinese 132. Teacher Zhao stood behind me, suddenly covering her mouth. The grade director leaned over, and when he saw the score, his eyes lit up. Lin Zhao, with this score, you can aim for Tsinghua University. Several teachers gathered around the office, some patting my shoulder, others saying congratulations. Teacher Zhao's eyes were red. You did very well in Chinese. I stared at that 132. And my chest felt like something had hit it. The Chinese exam, stolen from me in my previous life, finally returned to me in another way. I didn't cry. I just took a screenshot of a score, printed it, and saved it. The grade director smiled and said, "You're such a calm kid." I replied, "Teacher, I want to change my college application password and bind my phone number first." The office fell silent all at once. Teacher Zhao reacted the fastest, saying, "Right, let's change it first." The grade director also nodded. "I'll have the IT teacher come over." Because of last night's incidents, there was already a record, and the school took my situation very seriously. After the IT teacher helped me confirm the process, I rebound my account with my own phone number and changed the password to a random string of characters, writing it down on paper. I took a photo and gave a sealed copy to Teacher Zhao for safekeeping. After finishing all this, I finally let out a sigh of relief. My phone kept vibrating nonstop. The family group chat was blowing up. Second, Aunt posted a screenshot of my scores. Zhao Zhao scored 684. Is this real? Third uncle. That's an impressive score. And I always said this kid would go far. Immediately after, my dad called, and I answered. His voice couldn't hide his excitement. Zhao Zhao, your scores are out. 684. MHM. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line before his tone instantly softened. Good. That's great. I always knew you could do it. Where are you now? I'll come pick you up. Let's have dinner at home tonight. We'll celebrate as a family. Celebrate as a family. I felt nothing inside. In my past life, when I failed the exam, he told me to accept my fate. Now that I scored high, he wants to share in the glory. I don't need it. I'm at school. How can that be? Such a big occasion. Of course. You should come home. He paused. And there's the matter of your college applications. We need to discuss it carefully. I glanced at the computer screen. I've already started preparing. His tone immediately grew tense. Don't go filling it out randomly on your own. You're still young and don't understand. I know people who can help analyze it for you. It's not good for a girl to go too far away. Tsinghua University is too far from home. In my past life, even though I didn't do well, I later overheard their plans. They said if I scored well, they'd make me apply to a local teacher's college. After graduation, I could come back and teach with a stable salary and the ability to take care of the family. At that time, Lin Yanwei was going abroad, and Sun Mei said it would be fine for Xiao Xiao to stay locally. After all, when Yanwei returned, someone had to take care of the elderly at home. They had my life planned out clearly, as if I wasn't a person, but just a durable tool. I said, Dad, I'll fill out my own college application preferences. His voice dropped. Lin Xiao, don't think just because you got high scores, you've suddenly grown wings. Choosing a major isn't a game. It affects your whole life, so you can't leave it to others. He was momentarily speechless. After a pause, he suppressed his anger and said, You come back first. Your sister's results are out. 2. She didn't do well, and she's feeling down. As her older sister, don't upset her now. I asked how many points she got. There was silence on the other end of the phone. My father didn't say anything. Later, I heard from a classmate that Lin Yanwei had only scored 438. Not only did she lack the impressive background needed for overseas applications, but even the Sino-Foreign cooperation program she had boasted about for so long was now in jeopardy. The reason she had been able to go abroad in her previous life wasn't because she was outstanding. It was because after I was pushed down, all the family's resources were poured onto her. After I hung up the phone, Sun Mei called again. Her voice was choked with emotion. Xiao Xiao, I'm so happy for you about your results. Your sister didn't perform well this time, but she's happy for you. 2. She's just feeling bad. When you come home, please don't mention the scores. Okay. I almost laughed in anger. Today is the day results are released, and you're telling me not to mention the scores. Auntie didn't mean it that way. She's just afraid Nianwei will be upset. She cried all night last night saying she's useless. I said calmly, she really didn't do well, but that's not my responsibility. Sun Mei gasped. Lin Zhao, how have you become so cold-blooded? I hung up the phone not long after Lin Yanwei sent me a message. Are you feeling pretty proud? I replied, yes. She probably didn't expect me to be so direct. After a few minutes, she sent another message. Don't think you can go to Tsinghua. Dad won't let you go. I stared at that sentence, and the last bit of warmth in my heart turned cold. I forwarded the screenshot to Teacher Zhao, who quickly replied, Come to my office tomorrow. We'll confirm your college application together. That night, I didn't return to the dormitory. I went to the bank instead. I brought my ID card, a copy of the education fund agreement, and the deposit certificate left by my mother. The teller checked for a long time, her expression growing increasingly serious. Ms. Lin, this account was previously marked for supervision, but now the main account is under your father's name. There's a large transfer scheduled in 3 days. I asked who it was being transferred to. The teller glanced at me. The note says prepayment for overseas study services, and the recipient is associated with the student's name, Lin Yanwei. In that instant, I felt as if I were back at the airport in my previous life. Lin Yanwei dragging her suitcase, Sun Mei adjusting her scarf, my father handing her a bank card, while I stood in the corner in my factory uniform with a band-aid on my hand like a useless shadow. It wasn't something that would happen in the future. This time, they had already started preparing. I asked the teller, "Has the money been transferred yet?" "Not yet. The transfer is scheduled for 3 days from now. Can I apply for a freeze on the funds?" The teller said, "You'll need to provide supporting documents since this involves funds designated for a specific purpose and potential family property disputes. I recommend you consult a lawyer or apply for asset preservation through the court as soon as possible. But we can register a risk warning here first." I nodded. When I walked out of the bank, it was already dark, and the street lights were flickering on one by one. I stood at the entrance and called my uncle, Shinqing Shan. After Mom passed away, my dad grew distant from my maternal grandparents' family, and he deliberately or inadvertently kept me apart from them. 2. He said they looked down on him and didn't want anything to do with us, and I believed him. It wasn't until I started working at the factory that my uncle found me one day and asked why I hadn't gone to college. That's when I realized he had thought I was doing well all these years. But by then, it was too late. I had no education, no money, and was utterly exhausted, barely even able to muster the strength to ask for help. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. A hesitant male voice came through. "Who is this?" I tightened my grip on the phone. "Uncle, it's Lin Zhao." There was a full 5 seconds of silence on the other end before his voice suddenly changed. "Zhao Zhao." My throat tightened. "I want to ask you something. Did Mom leave me an education fund before she died?" His breathing grew heavier. "Your dad didn't tell you?" I closed my eyes. "No." His voice turned cold. "Where are you now? Don't go home. I'll come find you tomorrow." After hanging up, I stood in the wind and suddenly laughed. Good. This thread, hidden for 8 years, was finally beginning to unravel. At 9 o'clock in the evening, my dad suddenly showed up at the school gate. The security guard called me, saying a parent was asking for me. As soon as I reached the entrance, I saw him standing under the streetlight, his face dark. "You went to the bank." He cut straight to the point. I stared at him. "Did the bank notify you?" His eyes flickered away. "Lin Zhao, you're becoming more and more unreasonable. Even the family's money, you had to go digging into it. That was Mom's education fund for me. I'm your father. After your mom left, I raised you. I have the right to decide how that money is used. Decide to send Lin Wanwei abroad." Caught off guard, he dropped the act. "Wanwei's grades aren't good. Studying abroad is her only option. You do well. You can apply for student loans. Get scholarships. Your sister's different." That phrase again. Your sister's different. In my past life, I'd heard it countless times. She's different physically. She's different in personality. Her grades are different. She can't handle setbacks. She can't be wronged. So, I was just supposed to be the one who got broken. I looked at my dad and suddenly asked, "Dad, am I your daughter, too?" He froze, then frowned. "Why are you asking that? Answer me." "Of course you are." "Then why is it always her who needs a path, and never me?" He fell silent. The streetlight cast shadows on his face, making him look weary and unfamiliar. After a long silence, he said, "Xiao Zhao, you're capable. You can make it on your own. Wanwei isn't as smart as you. She needs more help from us." I laughed. "So, excellence is a crime. Because I can endure, I deserve to be burdened. Because she can't, she gets to take." I took a step back. "Dad, starting today, I'll pursue the education fund through legal channels." His face darkened instantly. "You dare sue your own father?" I said. "If you dare use Mom's money to send Wanwei abroad, idare sue." His hand rose, and this time, it came down. A sharp slap sent my face jerking to the side. The school gate security rushed out immediately, and Teacher Zhao came running from the duty room. I didn't cry or scream. I just touched my numb cheek, then took out my phone and snapped a photo of myself, Lin Jianhua. I called him by his full name for the first time. "Thank you for helping me gather another piece of evidence." After that slap, my father panicked completely. He probably never expected my first reaction wouldn't be crying. begging, or asking why, but taking a photo. As the security guards held him back, he kept shouting, "I'm her father. What's wrong with disciplining my daughter?" Teacher Zhao pulled me behind her. "Mr. Lin, this is a school gate. You just assaulted a student who just finished her college entrance exams in public. We will call the police." My father's face twitched. "Teacher Zhao, don't put it so harshly. She's my daughter," Teacher Zhao said coldly. "First and foremost, she's an adult, an examinee, and someone who needs protection." I'm hearing those words from someone else. I suddenly realized I was no longer the child who could only stand in the living room awaiting her father's judgment. I could sign documents myself, call the police, check bank accounts, choose to leave, holding my face, my voice steady. I said, "Call the police." My father stared at me in disbelief. "Lin Zhao." I didn't look at him. "The incident last night before the exams has already been filed. Today, he hit me because I inquired about the education fund account. I need to supplement the record." Teacher Zhao immediately made the call. Finally scared, my father lowered his voice. "Xiao Zhao, don't make a scene. I just lost my temper. Must you investigate the family's money? Did I lose control for a moment?" I asked. "So, it's my fault." He choked. Sunmei arrived quickly. The moment she reached the school gate, she rushed to my father in tears, as if she were the one who'd been hit. "Jianhua, how could you be so impulsive?" Then she turned to me. "Xiao Xiao, your father's been under too much pressure lately. Don't hold it against him. Hitting you was wrong. But he did it for this family." Watching her red-eyed act, I felt nothing but coldness for this family messing with my alarm. For this family slipping me cheap notes. For this family hitting me. "Auntie Sunday, your family sure is carnivorous." Her face stiffened. When the officers arrived, I submitted the photo, schoolgate surveillance footage, the previous case file number, and bank risk alert materials. The officers took statements. Since the injury wasn't severe, it was temporarily handled as a domestic dispute with a security warning. But this record was enough for me. It proved I didn't leave home without reason, and that my father resorted to violent threats regarding the education fund dispute. The next day, my uncle Xinchang Shan came. He looked younger than I remembered, wearing a gray shirt with bloodshot eyes. When he saw the mark on my face, he stood motionless for a long time, silent. "Who hit you?" "Your father." He closed his eyes briefly, his voice hoarse. "If your mother knew, I cut him off." "Uncle, I don't want to cry now. I want to fix this." He looked at me, his gaze slowly shifting. "All right, let's fix it." He brought a file folder containing the original and copies of my mother's signed education fund supervision agreement, the notary office number, the bank receipt from that year, and a supplementary note written by my grandfather to my father. I flipped through the pages one by one, my heart growing heavier, yet steadier. Uncle said, "Back then, your mother was seriously ill. She was most worried about you. Your grandfather gave 200,000 yuan, and she saved 100,000 herself, totaling 300,000. It wasn't an enormous amount, but she said it should at least ensure you didn't have to ask anyone for help during your 4 years of university." My finger paused on my mother's signature. "Shenwan Chao." The handwriting was delicate but firm. Uncle continued, "Later, your father said he would take care of you, so we didn't want to interfere too much. Then he remarried, and contact with us became increasingly rare. We asked a few times, and he always said you were doing well academically and in life, and that you didn't like our family disturbing you." I said softly. "He said you looked down on him and didn't want to take care of me." My uncle's face turned livid. "Damn fool." I didn't respond. It turned out these misunderstandings were like walls isolating me from anyone I could turn to for help. In this life, I would personally tear down those walls. Uncle asked, "What do you want to do?" I said, "First freeze that pre-transfer. Then trace the fund flow over the past few years, before I fill out my college application. I don't want to be controlled by them. After the admission process is over, I'll file a lawsuit to recover the money." Uncle looked at me, his eyes filled with both concern and surprise. "Jiao Jiao, have you grown up?" I smiled. "It's not that I've grown up, it's that I've died once." That day, we went to a law firm. The lawyer, surnamed Chen, was recommended by my uncle's friend. After reviewing the documents, he said, "The key to this kind of family education fund dispute lies in the nature of the funds and the agreed upon usage. If we can prove that the money was designated for a specific purpose, and that your father, as the trustee, misused or covertly misused it, we can file a civil lawsuit to claim its return or compensation." I asked, "Can we stop the transfer now?" Lawyer Chen said, "We can send a lawyer's letter first, and simultaneously submit the dispute materials to the bank to request a suspension of the transaction. If necessary, we can apply for pre-litigation property preservation." I nodded. Lawyer Chen glanced at me. "Are you sure? Once the lawyer's letter is sent, your relationship with your father will be essentially severed." I said, "He was the one who tore it apart first. I'm just shining a light on the crack." In the afternoon, the lawyer's letter was sent. That evening, my father's phone calls came in like a frenzy. I didn't answer. He started sending voice messages. "Lin Jia, are you really trying to kill me? What kind of person is your uncle? Why should he interfere in our Lin family affairs? I haven't even transferred the money yet. What do you think you're doing sending a lawyer's letter? You're trying to humiliate me in front of the bank." I transcribed each message and saved it. Sun Mei also messaged, "Xiao Jia, please don't do this. Auntie is begging you. Lin Wei's study abroad deposit can't be interrupted. She's already going through enough." I replied, "She's suffering because she scored 438, not because I scored 684. After sending that message, Sun Mei fell silent for a long time, then sent a single sentence. "You'll regret this." I looked at those 4 words and took a screenshot. I've regretted my whole life already. This time, I won't. The day before the college application, the school arranged for us to go to the computer lab to simulate the application process. I arrived early. Teacher Zhao, the grade director, and the IT teacher were all there. My account had already been unlinked, and the password was known only to me, and a seal backup, the IT teacher reminded. After each login, make sure to log out and confirm. After submitting, print the confirmation page, and never give your verification code to anyone. I nodded. Just as I was about to log in, a system prompt appeared. "This account has 3 failed login attempts today." Teacher Zhao's face darkened. I wasn't surprised at all. "Lin Yanwei, you haven't filled out your application yet." Wasn't just a threat. She and her group had actually taken action. The IT teacher helped me check the abnormal login IP address, which came from an internet cafe near my home at 9:17, 9:22, and 9:28 this morning. I immediately took photos and saved them. Teacher Zhao asked, "Should we call the police?" "Not yet," I said. "Let them expose themselves first." That evening, I went back to my school dorm and found a package bag at the door with no sender's name. Inside was a printed sheet of paper that read, "Lin Zhao, if you dare to apply to Tsinghua, your parents won't give you the household register or pay your tuition. Do you think high scores can change your fate? You'll always be a member of the Lin family." I stared at the paper and suddenly found it laughable. They still thought the household register, tuition, and family ties could bind me like ropes. I took a photo of the paper and placed it in an evidence bag. The next day, I officially submitted my college application, wore a white t-shirt, and carried a transparent document bag, arriving early at the school computer lab. First choice, Tsinghua University, Law. Second choice, East China University of Political Science and Law. Third choice, Nanjing University, Law. For each option, I had researched the cutoff scores, program groups, and admissions policies in advance. I wasn't acting out of spite. I was seriously walking my own path. When I reached the final confirmation page, my finger paused for a moment. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the door. My father had arrived. He was stopped by security outside the lab, his face grim. "I'm her father. How can you keep me out for something as important as this?" Teacher Zhao replied, "Students submit their applications voluntarily. Parents can offer advice, but cannot force their decisions." Sun Mei was there, too, holding a stack of materials. "Zhao, Auntie checked for you. The local teachers' college is excellent. Very stable for a girl. If you go to Tsinghua, it's so far from home. Who will take care of you? I watched them through the glass door. Lin Yanwei stood behind them, wearing a mask, only her eyes visible. There was no trace of pride or congratulations for her sister's achievement, just anxiety and resentment. I turned back to the computer. The system prompted, "Please confirm your application information once more." I clicked confirm, enter the verification code, and submitted. A line of text appeared on the screen. Application submitted successfully. I printed the confirmation page, signed it, took a photo, and handed a copy to Teacher Zhao. The lab door opened, and I walked out holding the confirmation page. My father rushed forward. "What did you apply for?" I held the confirmation page up for him to see. First choice, Tsinghua University Law School. His face instantly turned ashen. Sun Mei clutched her chest. "Xiao Zhao, how can you be so thoughtless? With your sister in this state, you still want to go so far away." I looked at her. I'm not going to college to be buried alongside Lin Yanwei. Lin Yanwei finally couldn't hold back. "Lin Zhao, don't get too cocky. Do you think just because the admission letter arrives, it's yours, your household registration is at home, your files are at school, and if Mom and Dad don't give you money, where can you go?" I looked at her and said word by word, "I can go places you'll never reach in your lifetime." Her face paled instantly. As I turned to leave, behind me came Sun Mei's sobs, my father's furious roar, and Lin Yanwei's stifled whimpers. But this time, I didn't look back. After submitting my application, my father finally dropped the act of being a caring parent. He began frequently visiting the school to talk to the administration, claiming I had been influenced by my uncle and was mentally unstable, and that my application might not reflect my true intentions. When Teacher Zhao told me about this, his expression was grim. "He wants to apply for a review of your application." I asked, "Can it be changed?" "Under normal circumstances, once an application is confirmed, it can't be altered arbitrarily, especially since you signed it in person, with on-site recording and teacher witnesses all in place." Teacher Zhao paused. "But by making such a fuss, they're trying to pressure you." I nodded. I knew them too well. They might not actually be able to change my application, but they wanted to scare me, to make me believe that if I didn't obey, they had countless ways to torment me. In my past life, they trapped me between home and the factory, making me think there was no way out. Now I knew where the path lay. I went to the police station and submitted additional evidence, records of unusual login attempts to my application, anonymous threatening notes, and documentation of my father assaulting me at the school gate. The officer frowned as he reviewed the materials. "You're still staying at school, so try to avoid going home alone. If there are any issues with your documents or admission letter, communicate with the school promptly. Thank you." As I left the station, my uncle was waiting outside. He handed me a bottle of water. "The lawyer said the bank has suspended the scheduled transfer. Your dad called me this afternoon and yelled at me for half an hour." I felt a pang of guilt. "Uncle, I'm sorry for dragging you into this." He looked at me. "Xiao Zhao, your mother was my sister. Before she left, she held my hand and asked me to look out for you when I could. It's my fault for trusting your father's words all these years, letting you suffer." I shook my head. "It's not your fault. The ones at fault are the liars." My uncle took me to our grandparents' old house. My grandparents had passed away, and the house had been empty for years, filled with old belongings. My uncle said, "Your mother left some things here. I found a few diaries yesterday. They might be useful to you." The house smelled of camphor. In the storage room, I saw a metal box. Inside were photos of my mother when she was young, some old certificates, and a diary she kept during her illness. I sat on a small stool and slowly flipped through it. She wrote about my childhood nickname, how I steamed eggs, and how I showed her my first perfect test score, saying I wanted to be a lawyer, because lawyers' words mattered. My fingers froze at this line. I didn't remember saying that as a child. Perhaps because too many people later told me that words were useless, that endurance was what counted. On the last few pages, I found a passage. "Jianhua is soft-hearted and easily swayed. I'm afraid after I'm gone, Xiao Zhao will have no one to stand up for her. The education fund must be clearly documented. It's not much, but I want her to know her mother left her a way out. If she wants to study or leave someday, at least she won't have to bow her head for money. I lowered my head, and the tears finally fell. After being reborn, I kept telling myself not to cry. Crying wouldn't solve anything. But at this moment, I couldn't hold back. It turned out Mom had already thought of me. She knew I might struggle, so she used her last ounce of strength to leave me a way out. But this path was hidden by my father, targeted by Sun Mei, and trampled on by Lin Yanwei. My uncle didn't try to console me. He just stood at the door, giving me some quiet. I wiped my tears, took photos of the diary, and placed them in a file folder. As I left the old house, I received a text from an unknown number. You forced your parents for money and got your sister punished. Aren't you afraid your classmates will find out? I narrowed my eyes. Soon, a second message arrived. A screenshot someone had posted on the school forum. The true face of a top scorer. After the college entrance exams, she turned her back on her family, forced her stepmother to kneel, and got her sister punished by the school, all to monopolize the family fortune. The post was written provocatively, claiming I'd always been gloomy and deeply jealous of Lin Yanwei's favoritism. It said Lin Yanwei had only been kind enough to check my alarm clock the night before the exams. But I seized the chance to call the police. It accused Sun Mei of raising me for 8 hard years, only for me to turn on her after scoring high, demanding money, and cutting ties when refused. There were already many comments below. Is this real? A top scorer can be this terrible. Her stepmom raised her for 8 years, and she still went after the money. Good grades don't mean good character. I scrolled down slowly. There were a few photos. One of Sun Mei sitting on the couch with red eyes. Another of Lin Yanwei crying with her head down. And one of me holding my exam admission ticket and confronting my father at the test center entrance, taken from a tricky angle to make me look aggressive. The poster's username was no longer silent. No need to guess who it was. Lin Yanwei had finally couldn't resist stepping into the spotlight. My uncle noticed my expression and asked what was wrong. I handed him my phone. His face darkened as he read, "Call the police." I shook my head. "First, screenshot the evidence. Aren't you going to clarify?" "I will," I said, but not just by arguing on the forum. In my past life, when I was falsely accused of stealing at the factory, my first instinct was to explain. I chased after everyone, insisting I hadn't done it. But no one listened. They just wanted drama, not the truth. Now I understand. Fighting back in the court of public opinion isn't about pleading innocence. It's about evidence, timelines, and authoritative witnesses. I first took screenshots of all the posts, saved the links, recorded a video scrolling through the comment section, and then sent them to Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhao quickly replied, saying the school had already noticed, and advised me not to respond aggressively on my own, and to come to school the next day. I replied to him, "Teacher, I'd like to request the school's intervention in investigating this matter, and reserve the right to hold those spreading rumors accountable." He responded, "That's acceptable." That night, the post spread wider and wider. Lin Yanwei probably thought I would collapse like I did in my past life. But I quietly gathered evidence instead. First, the timeline of the surveillance footage from the night before the college entrance exam. Second, the police report receipt. Third, the exam center's record of the incident involving the backup pencil case. Fourth, the abnormal login records for my college application account. Fifth, the education fund agreement and the bank scheduled transfer documents. Sixth, photos and police records of my father assaulting me at the school gate. Seventh, screenshots of the posts and evidence of their dissemination. Each piece of evidence wasn't meant to garner sympathy, but to make it clear to everyone who was lying. The next day, in the school conference room, the grade-level director, the moral education director, Mr. Zhou, Lin Yanwei's homeroom teacher, as well as my father, Sun Mei, and Lin Yanwei were all present. Lin Yanwei's face was pale. She probably hadn't expected the school to intervene so quickly. The moral education director placed printed copies of the online posts on the table and asked, "Lin Yanwei, is this account yours?" Lin Yanwei bit her lip and said, No. The director then asked, "Did you provide the photos in these posts?" She immediately looked at Sun Mei. Sun Mei jumped in. "Teacher, the child was pushed to her limits. It's normal for her to vent a little. Isn't it?" Lin Zhao went so far. "Doesn't she deserve to be called out?" I looked at her and asked, "So, the account belongs to you?" Sun Mei froze. I pushed a document forward. "This is last night's evidence collection record. The last 4 digits of the phone number linked to the account match Lin Nianwei's usual number. One of the original images in the post was cropped from a photo taken from Ms. Sun's phone angle." Lin Nianwei suddenly looked up. "How did you know that?" The moment the words left her mouth, her face turned white. The room fell silent. Mr. Zhou closed his eyes briefly. The moral education director's voice grew stern. "Lin Nianwei, do you realize that what you've done constitutes spreading false information and damaging someone's reputation?" Lin Nianwei's tears welled up instantly. "I didn't lie. She forced us into this. She turned our home upside down, got me disciplined, and even tried to take our money. Finally, I spoke up. Did I get you disciplined?" I opened my laptop, and the projector screen lit up. The first video played. In the early morning, in my room, Lin Yanwei tiptoed barefoot to my desk, slowed down the alarm clock, unplugged the charger, and rummaged through my exam admission ticket bag. The footage was terrifyingly clear. No one in the room spoke. Lin Yanwei's sobs caught in her throat. I played the second clip. Surveillance footage from the exam center showed her wearing a hat as she entered the building, slipped a pencil case into my bag, and then took it out. The third clip was a screenshot of my father hitting me at the school gate. The fourth document was the education fund agreement. I didn't exaggerate. I simply laid out the timeline one piece at a time. At 11:47 p.m. on June 6th, Lin Yanwei entered my room. At early morning on June 7th, I reported the incident to the police. In the morning of June 7th, I took the Chinese exam on time. In the afternoon of June 7th, Lin Yanwei entered the examination site's teaching area without permission and touched my school bag. On June 25th, after checking my scores, I changed my college application password and discovered unusual login activity. On June 26th, I checked my mother's education fund account and discovered that the scheduled transfer was for Yanwei's study abroad deposit. That same evening, my father attacked me at the school gate while I was checking the account. On June 28th, Lin Yanwei posted a false online post. After I finished reading, the entire meeting room fell silent, as if the air had been sucked out. Sun Mei's face gradually lost its color, and my father lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Lin Yanwei suddenly screamed, "Enough! Why are you exposing all this? I'm your sister. Stepsister. Did you remember I was your sister when you posted that?" She shook her head, crying. "I just wanted everyone to know I was wronged." "Too? Wronged how?" I asked. "Wrong that I woke up. Wrong that I took the exam. Wrong that I didn't let you use my money to go abroad." She was completely speechless. The moral education director finally gave a resolution. The school would require Lin Yanwei to delete the false post, publicly apologize to me, and refer the matter to her school for further handling. At the same time, the school would issue a statement clarifying that I had not engaged in cheating or coercing my family during the college entrance exam. This wasn't the final verdict, but it was enough to tear off her mask. After the meeting, Lin Yanwei chased me out. She stood at the end of the corridor, her eyes red and terrifying. "Lin Zhao, are you happy now?" I stopped. She gritted her teeth. "You've ruined me. Are you satisfied?" I looked at her and said calmly, "Lin Yanwei, you're mistaken from beginning to end. I was only trying to stop you from destroying me." The truth about the school spread quickly after it was posted, and the campus forum quickly reversed course. The original post was deleted, but many people had already seen the full explanation. The comments shifted from questioning me to questioning Lin Yanwei, setting an alarm the night before the college entrance exam. How cruel can you get? And slipping and cheating notes. Doesn't that ruin someone's entire life? Sister scored 684. Younger sister 438. No wonder she's desperate. The stepmother used the money left by the sister's mother to send the younger sister abroad. This family is just too outrageous. Of course, Some people said I was too harsh. After all, we're family. No need to make such a big deal out of it. I no longer get angry when I see such comments. There are always people in the world who urge others to be forgiving. Because the knife hasn't pierced their own flesh. I won't waste any more effort trying to convince every bystander. I only need the people who truly have the power to see the evidence. Lin Yanwei's school quickly summoned her for a meeting. Since the college entrance exam was already over, it didn't involve disqualifying her from the exam. But her severe warning was recorded in the school's disciplinary file, and she was stripped of all eligibility for outstanding graduate recommendations, scholarships, and other honors. She had previously contacted an overseas foundation program, but due to her parents' failure to pay the deposit on time, the spot was temporarily canceled. Sun Mei called me frantically, but I didn't answer. She switched to an unknown number, and when I picked up, I only heard her crying and screaming, "Lin Zhao, are you satisfied now?" Yanwei has locked herself in her room, refusing to eat or drink. If anything happens to her, I won't let you off. I turned on the recorder. And Sunday if you're worried about her. Take her to the hospital. Don't threaten me over the phone. How can you be so cold-blooded? She's your sister. She ruined my college entrance exam. Did you ever think I was her sister? Sun Mei's voice cracked with anger. Then you're fine, aren't you? You got a high score. Why are you still holding on? I laughed. This is their true logic. As long as I'm not dead, as long as I can still breathe, as long as I eventually get back up, the harm doesn't count. I said, because I'm fine. I saved myself. It wasn't because she didn't harm me. Sun Mei fell silent for a moment, then gritted her teeth and said, Lin Zhao, do you think you've won? Without family support, how are you going to go to college? Your father won't give you a single cent. I said, I never planned to take his money. And don't even think about taking the money your mother left behind. She finally revealed her true colors. That money has been mixed with the family account for years. You want to split it? Dream on. I watched the recording time ticking, and I told myself I would hand this over to the lawyer. On her end, there was sudden silence. I hung up the phone and sent the recording to Lawyer Chen. He replied quickly, Good. Keep it. Don't provoke them. But save all threats and admissions about the commingling of funds. In the afternoon, I went to the bank with my uncle to submit additional documents. The scheduled transfer had been officially suspended, and part of the disputed amount in my father's account had been frozen. This meant Lin Wanwei would be unable to pay the tuition deposit for her study abroad program. That evening, the family group chat exploded again. My second aunt sent a voice message. Xiao, you need to go to the bank and clarify things right now. If your sister loses her study abroad spot, she'll hate you for the rest of her life. I replied, her hatred doesn't affect the law. My third uncle said, you're being so heartless. Your father's money. He can spend however he wants. I sent the education fund agreement into the group. This is the education fund my mother designated for me. Not Lin Wanwei's free for all money. If any of you continue to urge me to give up, please first clarify whether you're willing to give your own children's education funds to Lin Wanwei for her overseas studies. The group went silent instantly, and he messaged me privately. Well said. Don't be afraid. I returned to school not long after. My father finally sent me a message. Come home for dinner tomorrow night. All the relatives will be there. We need to talk things through. I stared at the message, almost able to picture the scene. A table full of relatives, a few words of moral coercion, a few tears, and finally, a so-called family reconciliation agreement pushed in front of me asking me to sign, promising not to pursue Lin Wanwei, not to pursue the education fund, and not to speak out about the family scandal. In my previous life, I was slowly cornered like this, but this time I replied with a single word. Okay. When Teacher Zhao found out, she looked worried. Are you sure you want to go? I have to. I said. They need a stage. Teacher Zhao looked at me. I put the file bag into my bag. I need one. Two. The next evening, in a private room at a hotel. When I arrived, the room was already full. My second aunt, third uncle, maternal uncle, two relatives from Sun Mei's family, and several older relatives who had come just to watch. Lin Yanwei sat beside Sun Mei, pale-faced, and noticeably thinner. My father sat at the head of the table with a document in front of him. When he saw me, he didn't yell like before, but just said with a stern face, "Sit down." I didn't sit. I stood at the doorway and scanned the room. Teacher Zhao and my uncle were in the adjacent private room. "If you're just having dinner, I'll sit," I said. "If you're trying to surround me, they'll come in." My father's face grew even darker. My second aunt immediately said, "Zhao Zhao, how can you speak so harshly? We're all your relatives. How could we harm you?" I smiled. The one who harmed me the night before the college entrance exam was also my sister. My second aunt fell silent. I pulled out a chair and sat down. The food hadn't even been served yet, and Sun Mei started crying. "Zhao Zhao, Auntie wants to apologize to you in front of everyone today. Nianwei made a mistake, and we don't deny it, but she's already been punished. Can't you let her go?" I asked. "What do you mean by let her go?" Sun Mei looked at my father. My father pushed the documents on the table toward me and said, "Sign them." The title read, Family Reconciliation Agreement. The content was simple. I voluntarily acknowledged that the incident on the eve of the college entrance exam was a family misunderstanding, and Lin Yanwei harbored no malicious intent. I voluntarily withdrew all claims against Lin Yanwei and my parents. I voluntarily relinquished any individual claim to the education fund, leaving it to the family's unified arrangement. I promised not to disseminate related content to the school, online platforms, or relatives and friends. At the very bottom, there was an additional line. Lin Jiao's tuition and living expenses during university would be supported by the family as circumstances permitted. As circumstances permitted, I almost laughed out loud. They couldn't even bother to make the promise airtight. I picked up the documents and slowly flipped through them. "Who wrote this?" My father said. "Your cousin's uncle knows a friend who understands the law." I nodded. "Not very well." Apparently, my cousin's expression darkened. "Xiao Jiao, how can you talk like that? We're doing this for your own good. A girl like you, without family support, won't get far out there." I asked, "So, if I sign this, what exactly will the family support me with?" My father said, "We'll figure out your tuition." "What about the education fund?" Sun Mei immediately interjected. "That money needs to be allocated collectively. Nianwei needs it now, too. Her pre-college program abroad can't be interrupted." I looked at her. "So, she's still going abroad?" Sun Mei clenched her teeth. "She's already like this. Can't you just give in?" "No." Her tears welled up again. "Are you really trying to push her to her death?" I turned to Lin Yanwei. She kept her head down, her fingers gripping her skirt tightly. I asked, "Lin Yanwei, do you also think I'm the one pushing you?" She looked up at me, her eyes filled with venom. "Isn't it obvious?" The room fell silent. It was as if she had finally decided to drop the act. Her voice trembled but was sharp. "You've always been better than me at everything since we were kids. The teachers praised you, and Dad always said you were the easy one. You already have so much. Why do you have to take this from me? Too, I just wanted one chance to go abroad, to leave this place. If you fail the exam, it's not the end of the world. You can retake it next year. But it's different for me. If I stay in this country, my life is over." I looked at her, and the last trace of desolation in my heart finally dissipated. So, she knew. She knew that setting the alarm clock would make me fail the exam. She knew what missing the Chinese test meant. She just thought I could be sacrificed. I took out my phone and pressed play. Lin Yanwei's words just now echoed clearly in the private room. "If you fail the exam, you won't die. Can't you just retake it for a year?" Sun Mei's face turned pale. "You recorded this." I looked at her. "What? You can force me to sign, but I can't protect myself." Lin Yanwei lunged forward to grab the phone. I took a step back. The private room door swung open, and my uncle and Teacher Zhou walked in. Teacher Zhou's face was icy cold. "Lin Yanwei, I heard what you just said." Lin Yanwei froze completely. My father suddenly stood up. "Lin Zhou, you did this on purpose." I placed the settlement document back on the table. "Yes." I raised my eyes and looked at the relatives around the table. "You can make me sign it. But before that, I'll show you something." I took out a USB drive I had prepared in advance. The private room had a projector, originally meant to play family photos to create a warm atmosphere. But now it was perfect. My uncle helped me connect it to the computer. The projection screen lit up. The first clip was surveillance footage from the night before the college entrance exam. The second was the corridor footage from the exam site. The third was a screenshot of my father hitting me at the school gate. The fourth was Sun May's phone call saying that money has long been mixed with the family account. The fifth was Lin Yinwei's own words. You won't die if you fail the exam. No music. No emotion editing. Just facts. The relatives who had just been trying to persuade me, one by one, changed expression. Second aunt's lips moved, but she said nothing. Third uncle lowered his head to drink tea. Sun May rushed forward to pull the power plug. I said calmly, Dad, I made 3 backups. One for Teacher Zhao, one for the lawyer, and one in the cloud. His hand froze in front of the socket, trembling all over. My father sat back down, looking as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Zhao, Zhao! His voice was hoarse. What do you really want? I looked at him. First, Lin Yinwei must publicly apologize for the false rumors. Second, the education fund must be returned according to the agreement. Third, from today onward, you will not interfere with my studies, college applications, admissions, or household registration. Fourth, I will not sign the settlement document, nor will I admit this was a misunderstanding. Sun May screamed, You're dreaming. I nodded. Then we'll see you in court. I picked up my bag and turned to leave. As I reached the door, Lin Yinwei suddenly broke down and screamed, Lin Zhao, what does it matter if you go to Tsinghua? You don't have a home anymore. I stopped and looked back at her. Lin Yinwei's face was streaked with tears. Looking so disheveled, she no longer resembled the little princess everyone had protected. I said, A home isn't built by stealing someone else's life. Then I pushed the door open and walked out. The hallway was brightly lit, my uncle following behind me, and Teacher Zhao also stepped out. He asked softly, Does it hurt? I thought for a moment. No, it doesn't. I just feel that the Lin Zhao from my past life, the one who kept waiting for her father to look back at her, can finally let go. Before the admission results were announced, the Lin family descended into chaos. Lin Yinwei's public apology was long overdue, and Sun May was still trying to stall. She sent people to the school to plead, saying the child's mental state was fragile and couldn't handle further stress. The school's stance was clear. The defamatory post was published by Lin Yinwei, and the false content had already caused harm. If she didn't apologize, the school would support me in pursuing legal action. Meanwhile, Lawyer Chen formally submitted pre-litigation materials regarding the education fund to the court. My father was overwhelmed by calls from the bank, lawyers, and relatives. He finally sent me a long message. Xiao Xiao, I admit I've neglected you over the years, but you have to understand a blended family isn't easy. Sun May brought Nianwei into our home, and she lacked a sense of security. I could only try to balance things in the middle. You've always been smart and sensible, so I held you to higher standards. Now that you've gotten into a good university and have a bright future, why fuss over this money with your family? When you succeed someday, you'll still need your family's support. After reading it, I replied, If my family only knows how to tear me down, then I don't need their support. He didn't respond again. 2 days later, under the school's supervision, Lin Yanwei published an apology. It was brief. Due to emotional distress, I posted false information about Lin Xiao on the school forum, causing harm to her reputation. I hereby apologize. There was no mention of the alarm clock, the cheating note, or the education fund. But it was enough. I saved a screenshot. She wasn't truly remorseful, and I didn't need her to be. I just needed the truth to leave its mark. On the day the admission results were announced, I checked them in the school computer lab. The page loaded slowly with Teacher Zhou standing behind me, and my uncle waiting outside the door. I entered my examinee number and clicked Query. A line of text popped up on the screen. You have been admitted to the School of Law at Tsinghua University. At that moment, everything around me fell silent. No screams, no chairs, just a deep, deep breath, like someone who had been trapped underwater for too long finally surfacing for air. Teacher Zhou covered her mouth, her eyes reddening again. Lin Xiao, congratulations, she said. I stared at the screen at my admitted major, and softly replied, thank you, teacher. He said, you earned this yourself. Yes, I earned this myself. It wasn't given as charity. It wasn't handed over by someone else. And it certainly wasn't something anyone could snatch away with tears. I printed the admission page, saved a digital copy, and immediately contacted the admissions office to confirm the mailing address for the admission letter. The staff member on the phone verified and said, the mailing address is the home address you provided during registration. Unit 2, Building 3, Xinghai Community. My heart sank. Sure enough, while I had confirmed the school address when filling out my application, the admission system still retained the home address from the early registration materials. I quickly asked, can it be changed? The staff replied, the admission letter has already entered the mailing process, so an address change might not be possible in time. You can track the EMS tracking number and personally visit the delivery station with your ID to arrange for pickup. I said, okay, can you note that it must be signed for by me? We can make that note for you. They replied. After hanging up, I immediately explained the situation to Teacher Zhao and my uncle. Teacher Zhao frowned. They might intercept it, she said. My uncle added, I'll go with you to the postal station. I nodded. That afternoon, the EMS tracking number was issued with an estimated delivery time of 2 days. And during those 2 days, the Lin family once again pretended everything was normal. My dad texted, did the admission results come out? I didn't reply. Sunmei texted, Xiao Zhao, Auntie has tidied up your room. When the admission letter arrives, we'll keep it safe for you. I replied, no need. She quickly responded, why are you so stubborn? If the letter is sent home, who else will keep it safe if not us? I saved a screenshot of the exchange. The next evening, Auntie he called me, Xiao Zhao, several people came to your house today. Your dad was in the hallway saying the admission letter would arrive soon, and that he'd keep it first. Afraid you might lose it. Sunmei even said they'd give it to you only after you signed some guarantee when you came home. I asked, a guarantee? I didn't hear everything. She said, but it sounded like they wanted you to promise not to sue the family anymore if you took the letter. I laughed. They always managed to turn everything that belonged to me into leverage against me. The alarm clock, the college application, the education fund, and now even the admission letter. On the morning of the 3rd day, the tracking showed the package had arrived at the local delivery station. My uncle. And I went straight to the postal site. After checking my ID, the staff said the package was still being sorted. I explained the situation and provided the admissions office note and my ID. The staff was very responsible and asked me to wait by the window. Half an hour later, the red envelope was brought out, the Tsinghua University admission letter. As I reached out to take it, my fingertips trembled slightly, not out of fear, but because it felt so heavy. This wasn't just a piece of paper. It was the life I'd spent 2 lifetimes trying to reclaim. I signed for it on the spot, took photos, recorded a video, and confirmed the delivery status as received by recipient. Just as we stepped out of the postal site, my dad called. I answered, and his first words were, did you take the admission letter? I said, it's my admission letter, and I signed for it myself. Is there a problem? His voice was tight with anger. Lin Zhao, you're hiding everything from the family now, because you always use my things to threaten me. Don't paint us as the villains. I replied, Dad, the day before yesterday, you said in the hallway that you'd only give me the letter if I signed a guarantee. And he heard it. Silence on the other end. Then, flustered and angry, he said, now, you're even dragging neighbors into spying on the family. You're getting more and more terrifying. I said calmly, what's terrifying is how you keep forcing me to protect myself. He hung up. I put the letter in my bag and zipped it shut. My uncle looked at me. Next step, transferring your household registration. School registration requires transferring my household registration, and I want to move it directly to the school's collective household. Your dad might not give you the household register. I know. The Lin family excels at using documents to control people. In my past life, when my factory needed a copy of my ID, my dad dragged his feet. When I wanted to sign up for adult education, he said he couldn't find the household register. When I tried to change jobs, May said the family wasn't comfortable with it and told me not to wander off. Those little documents were like ropes, tying me to a place they could yank me back from any time. This time, I'd researched the process in advance. Household registration transfer can be done with the admission letter, but the household register being in the hands of the family head is indeed a problem. However, in cases of family disputes where the household head refuses to provide the documents, you can explain the situation to the local police station and request mediation or an official certificate. I brought my admission letter, ID card, police report, and school certificate to the police station. The officer who received me was the same one as before. He sighed when he saw me. "It's you again." I felt a bit embarrassed and said, "Sorry to trouble you." After reviewing the materials, he frowned and asked, "Your father refuses to provide the household register?" "Not officially yet, but they've already used the admission letter and household register to threaten me into signing a settlement agreement." I wanted to understand the process in advance. The officer nodded. "You did the right thing. Try to communicate first. If that fails, the police station can mediate. You're already an adult, and with the fact of your university admission, your family has no legitimate reason to withhold the documents long-term and affect your enrollment." I carefully noted his words. As I walked out of the police station, I felt like I was slowly dismantling the locks on my body. With each lock removed, my breathing became easier. But that evening, Lin Yanwei sent me a photo. It showed my room with the desk completely ransacked. She texted, "Did you think taking the admission letter would solve everything? Your file folder is still at home." I stared at the photo, my expression growing colder. She was lying again. High school graduation files are transferred uniformly by the school. There's no way they'd be in my room. But her photo reminded me that my mother's old photo album and some other things I hadn't had time to take were indeed still in that room. I could live without those things, but I couldn't let them vent their anger on my mother's belongings. I called my uncle. "Can you come with me to the house tomorrow?" He agreed. I paused, then added, "And invite Teacher Zhou and Auntie, too." If I was going back, I wouldn't give them the chance to shut the door and spread rumors. The next morning, we all went to the Lin household. When the door opened, May's face darkened at the sight of my uncle. "And Teacher Zhou, Lin Zhao, you bring outsiders to your own home." I replied, "I'm returning to my registered address. Not a safe place. It's better to have witnesses." Sunday, May was too furious to speak. My father sat on the sofa with a household registration book beside him. Seeing me, his first words were, "You want the household registration book? You can sign it first." On the coffee table was another letter of guarantee, this time even more direct. I would not pursue the education fund, would not continue to spread the family conflict, would not demand an apology from Lin Yanwei, and would not jointly sue my father with my uncle. After reading it, I put the paper down. "I won't sign," I said. My father sneered. "Then don't even think about moving your household registration." I took out my phone and dialed the police station right in front of him. "Hello, this is Lin Zhao. My father is currently using the household registration book as leverage, demanding that I abandon my lawsuit for the education fund and my right to defend my reputation. Otherwise, he refuses to cooperate with the university household transfer. I am currently at home, and there are teachers, relatives, and neighbors present as witnesses." My father's face instantly changed. "Are you serious?" I looked at him. "Dad, I've told you before." My voice was soft but clear. "Don't touch my personal documents anymore." The police arrived quickly, probably because there had been multiple prior reports. They didn't treat this as a routine family dispute. When the officers entered, my father still tried to hide the household registration book, and he stood at the door and said, directly, he really did use the household registration book to force the child to sign a guarantee just now. I heard it. Teacher Zhao also said, "Lin Zhao has already been admitted to university. Household registration transfer involves enrollment, and family members should not use this to coerce her into giving up her legal rights." My father looked grim. I just wanted her not to bring the family to court. The officer asked. So, you really demanded she sign a document waiving her right to pursue legal action before giving her the household registration book. My father remained silent. Silence was an admission. The officer turned to me. What do you need the household registration book for? For university household registration transfer documents, and to verify my personal household information. You're an adult now. Do you have your admission notice? I handed over the notice, my ID card, and the school's proof. After reviewing them, the officer turned to my father. Mr. Lin, assisting your child in handling enrollment procedures is a family obligation. If you have a dispute over the education fund, you can pursue legal channels, but you cannot withhold documents or the household registration book. Son May couldn't help but interrupt. Officer, what if she takes the household registration book and runs away? She's been manipulated by her uncle to the point of disowning her own family. The officer frowned. She's an adult, not your property. The words fell, and Sun May's face turned pale. Adult, not property. I had only realized this truth repeatedly from strangers' mouths after turning 18. In the end, my father handed over the household registration book. When he gave it to me, his fingers were tightly clenched. Lin Zhao, don't regret taking it today. I took it. The one who would regret it was my past self. He didn't hear clearly. What? Nothing. I immediately took photos and made copies of the required documents, then returned the household registration book to him in the presence of the officer. He probably didn't expect me not to take it directly, and his expression slightly froze. I looked at him. I don't need to steal it. I'll get what's mine through legal procedures. The words were like a dull knife, cutting his face pale. I went into the room to pack my belongings. The desk had indeed been rummaged through, and my mother's photo album was thrown on the floor with a few pages torn at the corners. I crouched down and picked up each page. Lin Yinwei leaned against the doorway, coldly watching me. A few torn photos, and you still treat them like treasures. I didn't look up. She continued, do you feel like you're so great now with everyone on your side? But don't forget, your last name is Lin. You have no father. You're nothing. I put the photo album into my bag and stood up. No father. I'm Lin Zhao. With a father like that, I almost became nothing. Her face twisted. I turned to leave. Suddenly, she lowered her voice. Do you know why Dad loves me more? I stopped. She smiled maliciously. Because your mother died too early. A dead person can't act cute. Can't eat with him. Can't make him feel needed, no matter how good your grades are. You only remind him that he failed your mother. The words pierced me like a needle. Sharp and painful. I finally turned back to look at her. In Lin Yinwei's eyes, there was a smug satisfaction. She thought she had struck a nerve, but I just calmly took out my phone and continued recording. Her face changed. You're recording again, I said to her. Every word you say is useful. She lunged at me furious. I took a step back. Teacher Zhao was in the living room and immediately came in upon hearing the commotion. What's wrong? Lin Yinwei froze. I saved the recording, put my phone away, and said, nothing. She had just given me more evidence. After leaving the Lin family, I didn't look back. The household registration transfer proceeded smoothly, and I placed the admission notice in my uncle's safe. I began preparing for university enrollment, bank cards, student loan applications, scholarship materials, and a list of dorm supplies. Tsinghua University contacted me, saying my grades qualified me for the freshman scholarship. As I submitted the documents, I suddenly remembered the dormitory at the factory in my past life. 8 people in one room, stifling in summer like a steamer, freezing in winter like an ice cellar. Back then, I had bought a plastic basin, a towel, and a cheap water cup. I thought that was all I would ever have in life. Now, I was still preparing new daily necessities, but the destination was no longer a factory. It was a university. That night, I received a video link from Lin Yinwei. She stood in the school office, pale-faced, her tone stiff, due to personal jealousy. I entered Lin Zhao's room the night before the college entrance exam, tampered with her alarm clock and exam supplies, and later posted false statements online, causing harm to Lin Zhao. I apologized to Lin Zhao. In just a few seconds, she spoke as if swallowing knives. There weren't many comments under the video. School authorities had controlled the spread, but her image in her circle of acquaintances was completely shattered. The obedient, gentle, and innocent Lin Nianwei could no longer pretend to be that person. I didn't share it or comment. I just downloaded and saved it. Teacher Zhao asked me, "Do you feel better after seeing the apology?" I thought for a moment. It wasn't as comforting as I had imagined. He looked at me. I said, "Because I know she isn't sorry for hurting me. She's only sorry she didn't succeed." Teacher Zhao fell silent. After a while, he said softly, "Lin Zhao, some wounds can't be healed by a simple apology. What you're doing now is stopping it from continuing." I nodded. I knew an apology isn't the end. Retribution is. Soon, the court mediation notice arrived. The dispute over the education fund entered the mediation process. My father and son, May, clearly didn't want to actually go to court. They were afraid of losing face, and even more afraid that the bank statements would be thoroughly investigated. On the day of mediation, I wore a black shirt and brought all the documents. My father looked at me with a complicated expression, while son May stared at me intently, as if she wanted to tear me apart. The mediator first asked both parties about their demands. I said I wanted the return of the 300,000 yuan principal of the education fund my mother had designated for me, along with a portion of the verifiable earnings over the years. If the funds had been misappropriated, the responsible party should return them based on the transaction records. My father immediately said the money hadn't been fully misused. Some had just been used for family expenses. Didn't she need money for food, clothing, housing, and transportation all these years? Lawyer Chen pushed the documents forward. "Mr. Lin, we've already obtained part of the transaction records. Lin Zhao's tuition and miscellaneous fees over 3 years of high school were far lower than the amount of personal scholarships, grants, and transfers from his grandfather's account. On the contrary, the disputed account had multiple expenditures for Lin Yanwei's training, travel, study abroad consultations, and advance booking payments. If you claim the funds were used for Lin Xiao, please provide evidence." My father's face turned dark. Sun Mei shouted, "How can a family calculate things like this?" I looked at her. "When you spent my money on your daughter, you calculated it quite clearly." She slammed the table. "Lin Xiao," the mediator sternly reminded, "please control your emotions." My father took a deep breath, and for the first time spoke in a tone almost pleading. "Xiao Xiao, I admit I handled the money poorly, but do you have to push me this hard? You're about to go to university, and we still have your younger sister. She needs money now for her repeat year of studies." I looked at him. "Dad, if I hadn't gotten into college in my previous life, would you have let me retake the year?" He froze. "What?" I rephrased. "If I really missed the Chinese exam this time, because of her, would you let me retake it?" He opened his mouth, but said nothing. Sun Mei immediately said, "Of course we would. How could we abandon you?" I smiled. "In my previous life, they didn't. They sent me to a factory saying I should earn money, first saying retaking the year was too expensive, saying Lin Yanwei also needed to study, saying I couldn't be selfish." I looked at my father and only asked him. He avoided my gaze. The answer was already clear, and the last faint glimmer of hope in my heart completely vanished. I placed my pen on the table. "Mediation can proceed, but I will only accept one proposal. The 300,000 yuan principal will be returned in 3 installments, 100,000 yuan before I enroll, and the remaining 200,000 yuan within 1 year. Otherwise, I will proceed directly to litigation." Sun Mei screamed, "You're stealing money." I said calmly, "I'm reclaiming the money my mother left for me." Outside the mediation room, Lin Yanwei suddenly burst in. She must have been eavesdropping at the door. Her eyes were red as she stared at me. "Lin Xiao, do you really have to do this? If you take this money, what am I supposed to do?" I looked at her. In my past life, I had wanted to ask the same questions. What about me when you took my college entrance exam? What about me when you took my money? What about me when you took my future? But no one had answered me. "Now," I answered her, "what you do is for you and your mother to figure out." She broke down in tears. But I have no way out now. I stood up and grabbed my bag. Then start walking your own path. Stop stepping on mine. The mediation didn't succeed on the spot. Sunmei adamantly refused to return the 300,000 yuan. She cried and made a scene in the mediation room, calling me unfilial, accusing me of driving my own father to despair, and claiming that my mother, if she were alive, wouldn't have tolerated my heartlessness. I had remained calm until she mentioned my mother. I looked at her, my voice turning cold. You don't deserve to bring her up. Sunmei froze. I continued. She left me that money because she was afraid I'd have no one to rely on. You used her money to pave the way for Lin Yanwei, and now you dare say she'd forgive you. Sunmei, does your face not burn with shame? Her face turned pale, then flushed. My father muttered a low rebuke. Enough. I wasn't sure if it was directed at me or Sunmei. In the end, the mediator gave both sides time to reconsider. Lawyer Chen told me, their psychological defenses are crumbling. Your father fears a lawsuit record and doesn't want his workplace or relatives to learn more about the transactions. Pushing forward shouldn't be a problem. I nodded. I'm in no hurry. They spent years using that money to ruin me. In this life, I have the patience to take it back piece by piece. A few days later, my father reached out to my uncle. He offered to return 100,000 yuan up front, but demanded that I clear the air in front of the relatives and never bring up the past again. My uncle laughed bitterly. They still want to stage a reconciliation dinner. I said, let's go. My uncle frowned. Xiao, you don't have to face them every time. I know. I slipped a USB drive into my bag, but this will be the last time. This dinner was ostensibly an apology, but in reality, it was their way of saving face. The venue was the same hotel as before. The difference was that only half the relatives showed up. After seeing the evidence last time, many had refused to get involved again. Only second aunt, third uncle, cousin, and two of Sunmei's relatives attended. My father looked thinner, and Sunmei's usual fake smile was gone. Lin Yanwei sat in the corner, head bowed, saying nothing. Once the dishes were served, my father raised his teacup. Xiao, your dad wants to apologize to you first. The room fell silent. He lowered his head, his voice strained. I mishandled what happened the night before your college entrance exam. Hitting you afterward was also wrong. As for the education fund, I'll find a way to repay you. Today, all the relatives are here as witnesses. From now on, we'll still be a family. After he finished speaking, he handed me the teacup. Everyone was watching me. In a past life, I might have cried, or maybe I would have thought that Dad had finally admitted his mistake. But now, I only heard one sentence. From now on, we'll still be a family. They still wanted to drag me back into that web. I didn't take it. I heard the apology, and I'll follow the agreement. As for being a family, no thanks. My father's hand froze midair. Second aunt sighed. Xiao, your father has already bowed his head. What more do you want? Father and daughter don't hold grudges overnight. I looked at her. Yes, some grudges never fade, even across a lifetime. She didn't understand, only thinking I was stubborn. Sunmei finally couldn't hold back her cold laugh. Lin Xiao, don't get too big for your boots. Right now, with your high scores and acceptance letter, you're full of confidence. But once you go to a different city, when you're sick and no one cares, when you're wronged and no one stands up for you, you'll realize how important family is. I nodded. That's why I can't treat people who will harm me as family. Lin Yanwei suddenly looked up. What do you mean? Literal meaning. I took out a statement from my bag. Today, I ask everyone here to witness. Starting from my enrollment, there will be no further financial arrangements between me and Lin Jianhua, Shunmai, or Lin Yanwei. Lin Jianhua, as my biological father, has fulfilled his legal obligations upon my adulthood, and the dispute over enrollment funding has been resolved separately. Sunmei has no legal custodial relationship with me. Lin Yanwei has no legal obligation to provide financial support. From now on, if you have debts, need loans, guarantees, study abroad, retake exams, medical treatment, or elderly care, don't use my name, don't contact my school, and don't reach out to my teachers or classmates. Sunmei slammed the table and stood up. Are you trying to sever family ties? I said. Yes. There was a collective intake of breath in the private room. My father's face turned deathly pale. Lin Zhao, do you know what you're saying? I do. I'm your father, so I won't deny our blood relation. I looked at him, but I would refuse to continue being drained by you. Sun Mei trembled with rage. Fine. Everyone heard it. She's the one who doesn't want this family anymore. If she dies out there in the future, don't come begging us for help. I said softly. Don't worry. In my past life, I begged, and it was useless. I won't do it again. My father finally couldn't hold back. Zhao Zhao. Dad already agreed to pay back the money. Why are you still doing this? I looked at him and suddenly felt exhausted. Because you still don't understand. His eyes were blank. I said, it's not just about the money. Then what is it about? It's about not letting anyone casually manipulate my life under the guise of family ties ever again. He froze. I placed the statement on the table. Whether you sign it or not is up to you. I'll submit this statement to the lawyer and the school for record. If anyone tries to cause trouble at school under the pretense of being family in the future, the school can call the police directly. Sun Mei sneered. You think the school will take care of you forever? No. I said. That's why I'll learn to take care of myself. Lin Yanwei suddenly stood up. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a kind of desperate madness. Lin Zhao, you must be feeling pretty smug now. Huh. You got into Tsinghua, got your money back, and everyone says I'm wrong. But don't forget, if it weren't for my mom, no one would have taken care of you when you were little. I asked. Took care of me how? She faltered. I continued. By feeding me your leftovers. By dressing me in your hand-me-downs. By making me hand over my competition prize money to buy you a tablet. Or by forcing me to stay silent after you tampered with my alarm clock the night before the college entrance exam. Her face turned pale. Sun Mei shrieked. Lin Zhao! I turned on the projector in the private room. Since this is the last time, I'll play the final piece of evidence. This time it wasn't just videos and recordings, but also bank statements. Which year? How much money transferred from the education fund account? Paid to which training institution? Which payment was for Lin Yanwei's piano lessons? Which for her summer overseas camp? Which for study abroad consultation fees? And which had the note Yanwei's application service? Every single detail was crystal clear. The relatives' expressions grew increasingly uncomfortable. My maternal uncle whispered, "This is simply outrageous." My second aunt finally stopped urging me to be magnanimous. She turned to my father. "Jianhua, is this money really left by Zhao Zhao's mother?" My father said nothing. My third uncle frowned. "Then you taking it to spend on Yanwei really doesn't make sense." Sun Mei's face turned ashen. "Now you're pretending to be good people. Back when my family was struggling. Who helped me?" I looked at her. "Your family was in trouble, so you spent my money. Now I'm sad. Have you ever cared?" She couldn't speak. Lin Wei suddenly covered her ears and broke down in tears. "Stop it. Stop it. I don't know. I know nothing." I turned off the projector. Whether you know or not doesn't affect the outcome. The dinner ended in discord. But the next day my father signed a mediation agreement. 300,000 yuan principal would be returned in 3 installments. The first 100,000 yuan would arrive before my enrollment, and the remaining 200,000 yuan would be repaid within a year. If overdue, I could directly apply for enforcement. Of course, Sun Mei disagreed, but she had no choice, because the evidence was too complete. Continuing to cause trouble would only make her daughter look worse. On the day the first payment arrived, I sat in my dormitory at school looking at the bank text message, feeling no wild joy as I had imagined. Just quiet calm. This wasn't a windfall from the sky. It was the path my mother had left for me, finally reclaimed from under others' feet. I deposited part of it into my university tuition account, kept some for living expenses, and put the rest in a fixed deposit. Then I bought a new alarm clock. White, simple, and clean. I kept the old one, too. The alarm clock that Lin Wei had slowed down. Its hand stopped at 7 o'clock. I didn't throw it away. It would remind me that in life, some people don't come to love you, but to teach you to wake up. The night before registration, my dad called me again. This time I answered. His voice was low. "Jiao Jiao, Shall I take you to school tomorrow? No need. Uncle will take me. He was silent for a long time. Are you still blaming me? I looked at the admission letter on the table and said calmly, I don't blame you anymore. He seemed relieved. I continued, because I no longer place you in a position where you can hurt me. There was no sound on the other end of the phone. I hung up. The night outside the window was deep, but I knew the dawn would come on the day I registered at Tsinghua University. The weather was beautiful. My uncle drove me with 2 suitcases in the trunk, one for clothes and one for books. My mom's photo album and diary were in my backpack. As we passed Tsinghua Community, I didn't look inside. My uncle asked if we should stop for a moment. I shook my head. No need. That place was once what I thought was home, and also where the nightmare of my 2 lifetimes began. But from today onward, it's just an old address on the way. Teacher, Joe texted me. Let me know when you arrive safely. The campus is big, but don't be afraid. If you run into problems, talk to your advisor first, and reach out to me if necessary. I replied, Thank you, teacher. He responded, Lin Zhou. Keep moving forward. I smiled at those 3 words. Heading north, the city gradually became unfamiliar. But I wasn't afraid. In my past life, I had also left home. That time, I was sent to work in a factory. I sat in the last row of the bus, clutching a woven bag with 2 sets of old clothes and a pair of plastic sandals inside. Sunmei said, a girl needs to suffer a little to appreciate home. My dad said, just work for now. Don't be picky. Lin Yanwei didn't see me off. She was busy preparing her materials to study abroad. Back then, I thought the world had abandoned me. Now I sit in the car heading to university, sunlight streaming through the window onto the back of my hand. I finally understand that leaving doesn't have to mean exile. It can also mean rushing toward something. The gates of Tsinghua University are even larger than in the photos. The freshman registration area is crowded, parents dragging luggage, students holding documents, volunteers in matching t-shirts guiding everyone back and forth. I stand before the gates, looking up at those words, my eyes growing slightly warm. My uncle doesn't rush me. After a long while, he says, your mother would be very happy. I reply softly, I know. The registration process goes smoothly. Admission letter, ID card, household registration transfer materials, file receipt confirmation, dormitory assignment. With each stamp, I feel another rope binding me snap. The advisor is a gentle female teacher. She notices the notes about legal aid and family disputes in my file and asks carefully, Lin Zhao, the university has a psychological counseling center, a student financial aid center, and a legal aid society. If you need anything, you can contact me anytime. I nod. Thank you, teacher. I'd like to apply for the freshman scholarship and student loans, and I also want to learn more about the legal aid society. She smiles. A law school freshman asking about legal aid right away. You've got a clear sense of direction. I laugh. I've suffered before from not understanding the law. She doesn't press further, just hands me a few forms, then make sure others suffer less in the future. Her words feel like a beam of light shining into my heart. Suddenly, I remember that long-forgotten phrase from childhood. I want to be a lawyer, because lawyers' words matter. No, it's not that lawyers' words matter, but that evidence, rules, and boundaries give the oppressed a chance to stand up. The dorm is on the 6th floor, a clean and bright quad. My bed is by the window. Roommates arrive one after another, some from the south, some from the north, all carrying a hint of unfamiliar awkwardness. No one knows where I'm from or what I've been through. That's good. I can finally stop appearing as a victim. I'm just Lin Zhao, a freshman. In the evening, before my uncle leaves, he hands me a bank card. This is a little money your grandmother saved for you. It's not much. I push it back. Uncle, I have my first education fund now, and I've applied for scholarships. He insists, pressing it into my hand. Take it. It's not about making you dependent on anyone. It's to let you know your grandmother's family hasn't abandoned you. Clutching the card, my eyes sting. Thank you, Uncle. He pats my head, just like when I was little. Don't bear everything alone if you're wronged in the future. Nod. I won't. After seeing off my uncle, I returned to my dorm to tidy up my desk. I put the old alarm clock at the bottom of the box and placed the new one on the table. I set the time to exactly 6 o'clock. My phone vibrated. My dad had sent a message. "Are you at school?" I stared at it for a long time before replying. He quickly followed up. "How's the dorm? Do you have enough money?" Just the kind of questions a normal father would ask. In my past life, I would have softened at these belated words of concern, but now I just stared at them calmly. After a while, he sent another message. "Your aunt's son has been unwell lately, and Nianwei is under a lot of pressure with her retake. If you're free, call home. After all, we're family." I turned off the screen and didn't reply. A few minutes later, Lin Nianwei sent me a message. "Lin Zhao, I'm retaking the exam. Are you satisfied now?" I blocked her. Son may send a long text message. "After you left, your dad sighed every day. Nianwei doesn't even dare to go out now. You've ruined this family. Even if you succeed in the future, you won't be happy." I took a screenshot and saved it. Blocked. Not every malicious message needs a response. Some people exist in your contacts just to drain you. Blocking is a small action, but it's a great freedom. After university life began, I was very busy. Military training, club recruitment, library lectures. I joined the Legal Aid Society at the School of Law. The first time I went with a senior to a community legal education event. A girl timidly asked, "If my family takes my ID card and won't let me go to school elsewhere, what should I do?" I stood beside her, my heart giving a slight tremor. The senior explained the process, how to report it to the police, how to get a school certificate, and the household registration policy. The girl listened carefully. After the event, she quietly asked me, "Senior, will it really work?" I looked into her eyes, as if seeing my younger self. I said, "It will, but only if you first believe that your life isn't theirs to control." She paused, then nodded firmly. That night, I wrote in my diary for a long time. Not the desperate diary of my past life, but a plan. During my 4 years of university, I would master my major, earn scholarships, continue participating in legal aid, and research educational equity and the protection of minors' rights under family control. I don't need to start a company, nor do I need to become someone's heroine. I want to become someone who can pull both myself and others out of the mud. In the second semester of my freshman year, the second installment of the education fund arrived. My father didn't delay it anymore. Maybe the lawyer had been pressing hard, or maybe he finally realized I wouldn't drop the lawsuit just because of a few soft words. Lin Yanwei repeated a year of school, but her grades remained unsatisfactory. She once tried to repackage herself online, claiming she was a poor girl victimized by her sister's cyberbullying. But soon someone released her apology video from that year, and the school's official statement. Her post didn't stir any waves. Sun Mei took her to study at a private program in another city, one that was very expensive. I heard from Aunt He that Sun Mei had sold a small house she owned before marriage, and had a fierce argument with my father over it. I just listened without commenting. That was their own path. Finally, they were starting to pay for their own choices. In my sophomore year, the final installment of the education fund was settled. Lawyer Chen sent me the case closure documents. "Congratulations, Lin. The settlement is complete." I stared at the 4 characters. Settlement complete. For a long time, it wasn't just money that had been settled. There was also the unspoken grievance from a past life that summer vacation. I returned to Tsinghua City, not to the Lin family, but to visit teacher Zhao. He was still teaching senior high school, and his office was piled with exam papers. When he saw me, he was very happy. "Our Lin Zhao from Tsinghua is back." I smiled and placed the books I had brought on the table. "I came back to see you." He asked me how college was going. I said it was great. I told him I had joined a legal aid club, worked on a few cases, and planned to pursue a career in public interest law related to education. After hearing this, his eyes lit up. "That path isn't easy," he said. I knew that, but I was going to walk it. He smiled. "Then go ahead." When I left school, I passed by the former college entrance exam site. The gate was closed, and the trees at the entrance had grown taller. I stood there, recalling the girl from my past life who had been blocked from entering. That girl, her face soaked with tears, clutched her admission ticket in her hand, like holding a ticket to life that had already expired. In my heart, I said to her, "We made it in, not just into the exam hall, but into something much further." Before returning to Tsinghua, I visited my mother's grave. I placed copies of my academic transcripts, admission notice, scholarship certificate for my first year, and a photo of my ID card from the Legal Aid Club in front of the tombstone. The wind blew, and the pine trees rustled softly. I whispered, "Mom, the money has been returned. I've also walked the path." In the photo on the gravestone, she smiled gently. I stood there for a long time, not crying, but silently saying all the words I had never had the chance to say over the years. As I left the cemetery, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered, and after a long silence, my father's voice came through. "Xiao Xiao." I stopped in my tracks. His voice was much older now. "I heard from Auntie that you're back." "Yeah. Why don't you come home and visit?" I looked at the road in the distance. This was no longer my home. There was silence on the other end of the line. After a long while, he said, "Dad now realizes just how wrong he was back then." I didn't respond. He continued, "Nian Wei and Aunt's son are not doing well either. The house feels so empty now. Sometimes I wonder, if I had stood by your side the night before the college entrance exam, would things have been different?" I said calmly, "They would have been." He gasped. I added, "But there's no if." His voice trembled. "Xiao Xiao, can Dad still make it up to you?" I looked up at the sky. "You've already paid back the money." "I'm not talking about money." "Then it's not necessary." He was silent for a long time, then asked softly, "Do you still want to call me Dad?" I didn't answer right away. This word used to weigh heavily on me, so heavy it nearly suffocated me. Later, it became lighter, just a biological label. I said, "Lin Jianhua, take care," and hung up the phone. This time, I felt no heartache, no satisfaction from revenge, only a profound calm. I no longer waited for him to be a good father, no longer waited for Lin Nianwei to repent, no longer waited for Sun Mei to admit her debt, no longer waited for anyone to serve me belated justice. I walked here on my own. The night I returned to school, I dug out the old alarm clock from the bottom of my suitcase. It had stopped working, its hands frozen at 7 o'clock. I stared at it for a long time, then placed it in a transparent box, and labeled it Exhibit Number 1. The stolen hour. My roommate laughed, and asked what it was. I smiled. "To a reminder." "A reminder of what?" I placed the box on the top shelf of my bookcase. A reminder that no one would ever tamper with my time again. For many years after, I kept that alarm clock. I graduated with my bachelor's degree, got into graduate school, and joined a public interest legal organization specializing in cases related to educational rights and family control. I met many girls, just like my younger self. Some had their college applications altered by their parents. Some had their IDs confiscated. Some were forced to abandon university to work and support their brothers. Some had their exam permits hidden by their families before the college entrance exams, and were still scolded for being selfish. Every time I heard them ask, "Am I being too selfish?" I would remember that early morning when Lin Nianwei stood by my desk, slowly turning the clock from 6 to 7 o'clock. Then I would tell them, wanting an education isn't selfish. Protecting your documents isn't unfilial. Refusing to be sacrificed isn't cold-blooded. Your life belongs to you. I wasn't born strong. I was once weak, once yielding, once clinging to the phrase, "We're family," as if it were a lifeline. But I later realized some ropes aren't meant to save you. They're meant to strangle you. My second chance at life gave me an opportunity. But what truly saved me wasn't the rebirth itself. It was the night I turned on the surveillance, locked the door, called the police, preserved the evidence, walked into the exam hall, submitted my college application, reclaimed my admission letter, recovered the money my mother left me, and piece by piece pulled myself whole out of that devouring household. At this point, the story seems like it should have a satisfying ending. Perhaps Lin Nianwei weeping on her knees, begging for forgiveness. Perhaps Sun Mei filled with regret, living out her days in misery. Perhaps my father calling my name from his deathbed while I turned away coldly. But real life isn't that dramatic. They simply faced the consequences. Slowly, Lin Yanwei lost the respect and shortcuts she craved most. Sun Mei lost the confidence to forever favor her daughter. My father lost a daughter who once trusted him wholeheartedly, and I lost a false family. But I found my true self in my junior year. I shared my story as a student representative at a public welfare lecture. Many high school students were sitting in the audience. Someone asked, "Senior, if the ones who hurt you are family, can you really let it go completely?" I thought for a moment and replied, "Letting go isn't about whitewashing their actions or pretending it never happened. Letting go is the day you finally realize they stole an hour from you. But they can't steal your entire life." The room was silent, and I saw a girl lower her head to wipe away tears. After the lecture, she ran up to me and said her parents wanted her to give up a university in another city and stay local to take care of her younger brother. She asked me, "Senior, what should I do?" I wrote down my email for her. First, back up your admission letter, ID card, household registration documents, and chat records. Then, reach out to teachers, the school, and anyone who can help you. Don't shoulder this alone. She nodded firmly, watching her run off into the distance. I suddenly realized that the door I locked that night had also opened many others. Not every girl gets a chance at rebirth. So, in this lifetime, I want to help them learn to protect themselves without having to die first. Back in my dorm at night, I opened my laptop and continued drafting legal aid materials. The new clock on my desk ticked away. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Every second belonged to me. Outside, the lights of the university district glowed, and in the distance, students rode by on bikes, their laughter carried lightly by the wind. I typed a final line at the end of the document. The applicant has the right to independently choose educational opportunities, and no family member may deprive them of their lawful right to education under the of familial bonds, financial control, or document withholding. I paused after typing, then smiled. Turns out what I said as a child was right. I would make words matter, not by shouting, not by crying, but with evidence, rules, clarity, and refusal to back down again and again. I closed my laptop and turned off the light. At 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'd head to the library. The alarm was already set, and this time it wouldn't be an hour late. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.